Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am starting my Illumicrate vlog where I'm going to read all the monthly Illumicrate books, just like I've previously done on my channel where I read all the YA favorite books. And it's going to be a really long vlog. Obviously when you're watching this you can see the length, but I don't know the length at the time of filming. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be exhausting because I know a lot of these books is probably not going to be super enjoyable, but I'm hoping to find some really good gems and I'm hoping to look at the trends that were at the time when these came out, at the same time just reading a bunch of random books that I never heard about before and getting big chunk out of my TBR. One aspect I think is interesting is that Fairy Loot is a YA box, so it was only young adult releases, while Illumicrate is not necessarily YA, so there's a mix of different things. And there's also some contemporary in here. Contemporary was big back in the day, which it's not even that long ago, but trends move really fast. While, for example, Fairy Loot was only fantasy and some sci-fi, now mostly almost fantasy, but this is like a mix of sci-fi fantasy, and then there's some early contemporaries as well. So I think that is interesting to look at. And I give whole ratings, so like we will have like a little rating board as I did in the Fairy Loot vlog to keep a track of like how many of these books I'm really enjoying or how many I'm not enjoying, and then I will probably suffer a lot, but I am excited. The Fairy Loot vlog was much more comprehensive and exhausting than I thought it would be, so hopefully that is not the case this time around. One thing about Illumicrate is at the beginning when they released the boxes, they did not have monthly boxes, they only have quarterly boxes. So for the first 2 years maybe, yes, or 1.5 years, I can't calculate. Math is not mathing. There was only like a few boxes a year, so it's not that many from the beginning. The first box was just called Box 1 and was from November 2015. And I actually had this book on my TBR. I owned it for a really long time. And it is Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Grodin. It's really weird that this is like the first book that was in the Illumicrate. I think it's just a weird, interesting choice, I guess. I remember when this came out, it was actually quite popular, and it is set in like a futuristic world where Hitler won the Second World War. We are in 1956 and we follow a shapeshifter who is going to kill Hitler. And as you know, I owned it for many years. I was very interested in it. It was actually now in my on hold pile, whereas like by on hold pile I mean books I was going to read and I decided if I want to keep them. And now I read this and decided to definitely not keep it because it's not at all for me. I remember I watched a YouTuber back in the day reading this and I was like, oh my god, that's super interesting. But at this point, I just know I don't like Second World War stories in general. And it is very much focused on that. And we have a main character who, you know, she is building this resistance to go out and kill him. And it just wasn't a compelling story for me. I just didn't really care about her mission. Obviously, it is important to write Second World War histories, and it's important to know about history and learn about history and not repeat mistakes in history. And it does like bring up awareness of a lot of things that happen. At the same time, I knew already, so I don't know if like, is this like unknown things? It was like educating you in a way that like as if you should know this. And I was just like, is this not common knowledge? I have no idea. But it's like a note in the end from the author of like stuff that happened that she wanted to focus on. And obviously that's very important. So obviously for a young reader, if you think that this is a YA, it's important to learn about these things consistently and not just like once in school when you weren't keeping up. So granted, that is important. But I just, as a story, I just didn't care for our main character. This whole like shapeshifting thing, I didn't care about her crew. I didn't care about her mission. And it was also a sequel. And I tend to not, you know, DNF series, but I have now a list of series that I have started that I'm unsure if I will ever like. I'm not officially DNFing it, but I don't know when I will like try to pick up the sequel unless I have nothing else to read. You know what I mean? So I ended up reading it and I did not enjoy this at all. I really do wonder though if I read this many years ago, if it would have been something I could have enjoyed. But as of right now, it is definitely not. I can therefore say I read it. I can be glad for that, and we can move on. From the first one, which was not great for me. I'm giving it a 2 because I don't think I hated it, and I do definitely see parts of it that can be enjoyable, but it was not a book for me at all. It was very unfortunate as well because it just had a lot of like things in it that I personally don't like, but then at the same time it wasn't an engaging story, so it could have gone a different way, I think, if I managed to keep me engaged. And now I read the next book as well, which I read in the end of last year, which is Truth Wish by Susan Danner. This was for the box of February 2016, so there was only one box in 2015. Again, just called Box 2. And this one I owned for many, many years as well. And Truth Witch has like literally 4 different covers. There's like 2 different UK ones and 2 different US ones, and I don't know what's happening. And apparently the series is not even done, and I thought it was done ages ago. I bought this and I have actually book number 2. The only reason I don't have book number 3 is because it never came in like the right height to match my others. I don't know why, but it just didn't. I had it for many, many years because I was very interested in the series, and here we are again. I'm feeling like not a lot towards it. We are in a world of like witches, and there are different types of witches. I main character in this one, because I know each book follows or focuses on a different witch, is a truth witch in the name, so she can sense if people are lying. There is this like political plot blooming forward, and then she has to escape, and then they're hiring someone who is also the prince, but then also on the side he is like a privateer, just like Nikolai in Shadow of Bone. And then they are on the roads, or on the sea, I guess, and then also on the road, and there's this other like blood witch hunting them, because truth witches are really weird, etc., and then people are generally hunting them. I thought honestly that the witch parts of the story was interesting. Like I wanted to know more about the witches and the culture. She has like a other witch that is super, super close to her. She's like a trans sister. I thought that was really interesting, and then I thought those aspects of the story was interesting, but just like the plot itself was super dull and boring. I was actually really surprised. I thought it would be much more engaging. I don't know, a different kind of plot than just like being on the road. And I am always for a quest story, but it wasn't. They weren't even on a quest. They were just escaping. And then like I felt like we just weren't going anywhere. I was just reading and reading, and I felt like nothing was happening. And I wanted a more engaging plot, like just than being on the run in a way. Like anything else. So like I felt like the world that Susan Danaher made was interesting and could have more interesting aspects, but then we were just on this road with these characters that I like barely cared for. I thought the Blood Witch was the most interesting, but then we didn't see that much of him. But I know that on one of the upcoming books, the number 3, not the next one is Wind Witch, and number 3 is Blood Witch. I do believe that he's like the main focus there. So like again, there's like war brewing, there is like politicalness aspects to the story, but I just felt like what we used time on was the least engaging parts of the story, and I wanted more to really like keep me on the edge of my toes. But I ended up feeling quite bored actually, while I was interested in the witches aspects of the world. So I enjoyed this more, the Wolf by Wolf, and I think for that alone, I do remember I rounded it up to 3 on Goodreads. For the sake of this vlog, to be very critical apparently, I would take it in a 2-star, because I feel like looking at it now, I like don't find my enjoyment being that high either. If my enjoyment had been higher and I've been more invested in this like romance blossoming, etc., I could have been more engaged in it, but alas, I wasn't. So we're putting it in 2, and our start is not looking that great. I read the next one as well for the May 2016, and this is When We Collided by Emery Lord. This is a YA contemporary, and I was just like, in my head, I didn't know that it was YA contemporary in this box. I was just very shocked. YA contemporary times, that was the times. About this at the digital library, and this one follows this girl. I probably can't remember the name of, and she just moved to this like small coastal town, and then she's had a bit of, not the dark past, but she has different mental health problems that later comes out as bipolar disorder. And then she meets this boy that is in this family, and his father just died, and his mother is deep in depression, and then he's taking care of all his small siblings and is like super stressed about it because he's a teenager that's not supposed to take care of all his small siblings, while he has also elder siblings, but he's helping in a lot as well. And they meet and crash, and then they fall for each other, and then like they both have like different dark things that is happening. She's starting to deal with the fact that she's just been diagnosed and then not taking her medication, so her like life is unraveling from that, and his life is unraveling because of the whole taking care of siblings things. And granted, I didn't hate this. I didn't hate it. I just really thrown back into YA contemporary days that I feel like I'm losing the grip on to like really be invested in. It reminded me of the days where like a lot of mental health books were coming out with like teens with different mental health problems, which I do think is very important to write about, especially for teens. And I can definitely see like the reminiscence of that in this book. It had some sad moments as well. I felt really for it. For example, like her mother has been raising her alone, and how she's trying to be a good parent and feel like she's not enough. I get really soft on like parent parts in general. Just like their romance though, because it is kind of romantic. It was just like the way they started to like each other, I didn't get it, because it was like instantly like let's go on a date. Oh, we like each other now. Yay, we are together. I was like, what? I know, like, maybe that's what teens do, because, like, maybe they don't give a shit, but I was just like, give me some chemistry, give me a conversation, give me anything for these people to be together. In theory, I like both of their separate stories with, like, their circles that I had, more than, like, the romance that I didn't care for, because, like, we had no reason for care for it. Everyone had, like, different things. Like, he wanted to make his father's, like, diner better, and then she had, you know, different troubles and struggles as well. Arthur wanted to raise awareness around being bipolar, which I think is very good. So I cannot speak for the rap in this of, like, how it is to be being bipolar, because, like, I don't have it. I know people who have it, and then, like, I know a bit about it, but, like, I'm not an expert by any means. I don't know what to say about the rap, because honestly, the way it was presented here, I have not seen similar before. But again, I am not an expert on this as well. So, like, what was represented on the page, probably many different symptoms one can have. But yeah, the way it came through here was a lot of self-harm and, like, I guess you can say suicide attempts without being suicide attempts. It was a whole thing. Be aware of that if you want to read this, because it was hard-hitting and quite dark actually at some parts, but it's definitely, like, in a reminiscent of the time where there was a lot of, like, mental health books coming out in the YA genre in contemporary, and you can definitely see that. I don't know how I felt about that, because it shouldn't be stigmatized, so the way it was written, I don't know, but, like, a main character's personality, the way she, like, felt no responsibility for other than herself, and I feel like she didn't really change. I feel like it's rude to say it annoys me, because it's not completely her fault. So that is why I was like, does she annoy me because of her personality that is annoying? Or does she annoy me because the way it's written, I cannot, like, wrap my head around it, because, like, it's not her fault. I don't know. So I found that a bit hard for me, maybe, to understand. But I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I found the characters interesting. I guess her personality was so strong, and she wasn't, like, responsible for anyone. And I feel like, obviously, we can't just say that her whole personality is wrapped up in her diagnosis. So in that regard, you can say that her personality did not match with me, and I felt stressed reading about her. But at the same time, I know a lot of her actions were not completely her fault. So I ended up giving this a 3, because, like, I feel like it's not a 2 and it's a 3. It's fine. I like parts of it, but overall felt like a time that I left behind. And yeah, that's what I got for now. Okay, so let's talk about more books that I have now done. Or the next one I didn't do now. And the next one is Nevernight, which was for August 2016, which I have right here. So this was also in the Fairly vlog, because they also did a book. But I didn't actually reread it for the Fairly vlog, and I'm not going to reread it for this either. So this one follows Mia, who trains as an assassin, and then we have her going to the assassin school and, like, doing different, like, tests and surviving there, basically, in the first one. Well, first she needs to be able to be taken at the assassin school in the first place. And we follow kind of dual timelines, where we have, like, one timeline back in the day, like, what happened to her, and then a timeline where, like, she's at assassin school. We also have footnotes, which is an interesting way to tell the story. And we have queer rap, and then it's, like, a really, really, like, dark world where there's lots of blood and murder. Overall, when I read it the first time, I did enjoy it. Like, it wasn't a bad time or anything like that. I liked the characters. Like, it was, like, the badass assassin time of fantasy, you know, which we're never gonna leave. And I thought it was entertaining. I thought it an interesting world. I like that it was dark and had, like, dark and bloody gore in it, etc. Obviously, I know the criticism that did come out of the series later with anti-Semitism, etc. And I don't think it stands as a favorite series now. It never was back then, but I did find it engaging. I remember liking book 2 a lot too, and I think the ending in book 3 was fine, because I completed the whole series, which is shocking in itself. But at the time when I read it, I do believe I gave it a 4. I might have given it a 3 now, I'm not sure. And I do believe I gave it a 4 in the Fairly vlog. I have this urge to give it 3 in this instance, but we're going to keep to the 4, because that's what I did in the Fairly vlog. And then we're going to go to the next one, because, like, since I didn't read this now, I don't have that many thoughts. But it's an assassin thing. It is stabby. It has betrayals. A bit of sexiness sometimes. But I did think when we were at assassin school was, like, a good and fun and interesting setting. and then the rest just came together. I think I enjoyed it more when I read it then than the memories I have with the book now. Then I went ahead and actually read the next book for this vlog. This was also in my on-hold pile. So look at me reading books I owned for many years and never read because I didn't know if I was interested in them anymore, which is kind of nice to do this vlog. So this was for November 2016, and it is The Diabolic or Diabolic, however you want to say it, by S.J. Kincaid. This is a sci-fi. We are in space, planets, and then there's also like stations, etc. We follow a diabolic. I'm struggling with this word that is called Nemesis. We're created to protect like one person. They're like killer autonomous people, robots, whatever you want to say, but they're more like people, and they were created to like create a bomb with one person to protect them. So it was like more for like rich people and nobles to have someone to like have a bodyguard. And then they were actually outlawed, so they were supposed to kill her, but they never did because she was like part of the family. Then her, like the one she's protecting, they're like, I was going to say the princess, but she's not a princess. She's like daughter of a Senate person. Needs to go to a really dangerous place because her dad kept breaking laws, basically. Then they're sending her instead. They're sending Nemesis in her stead and pretending that she is like her, I was going to say owner, protector, whatever. And she's thrown into like this political landscape. It is bloody. It is stabby. It is dark there. There's like attempted sexual assault, for example. There is even a queer rap, me being as surprised as anyone else. We had a queer rap in Nevernight as well. But I just meant to say that like one of the characters like came out queer that I didn't expect it to be, and it softened my heart a bit. She meets like the emperor's nephew, who's like the heir to the empire, and then we want to throw this whole thing down because that's what we do in YA dystopia / sci-fi. But it didn't feel completely like a YA dystopia because it felt more like a sci-fi book with YA dystopia traits. I don't know how to explain it different, but it's definitely a YA dystopia, I guess. There is like people who was really against this regime because like the reason the dad to like the person she's impersonating was like breaking laws is because there's been no scientific change in this world for a really long time, because they're stopping all like science and everything in the society because they don't want people to know things. So for example, they have these amazing ships, but they've forgotten how to fix them. They have this amazing science and they've forgotten how to use it all. And I think it's very interesting, like, problem you have created in this world that needs to be solved. And I thought it was quite like interesting. So I went into this thinking that I wouldn't enjoy it that much. Like, no, I haven't been enjoying, we don't count Nevernight into this because I read it years ago, the other books that I read that much. While like When We Collided was fine, but like still like not as something that I would go down in history to remember. I don't think I would go down in history to remember this either, but I was pleasantly surprised of feeling how engaged I was in the story. I liked the political landscape that the author had created. I think that the character she had made was compelling, and I think that the problem that this society had was interesting, and I am engaged enough to wanting to read the sequels. The problem is that I don't necessarily feel like I need to own this because I don't think I enjoyed it enough. Like, I still kind of want to unhaul it, even though it had aspects to it that I found interesting. So I might just like borrow the rest and then read those and then just to see where the story will go. However, it was really engaging in the beginning and then it lost me a bit. I would say like it dipped a bit down. There was this one thing that happened and I was like super shocked. But then I was like, but is it really like this? And then it turned out it wasn't like this. But then that thing happened after all. And it just like meant nothing at that point. So because of that, I just feel like that part of the book, which was a really huge part of the book because it was really important for our main character, I can't say it because it's a spoiler, it kind of ruined my enjoyment because it was so much back and forth, and I just felt like it was very predictable in an annoying way. I felt like I wish that part of the book had gone differently, because I feel like I would have enjoyed this book more, and that we had handled those aspects of the story better, because then I would have enjoyed it more, if you know what I mean. So because of that, it dragged down to a 3. I could have maybe given it a 4, but because of that, my enjoyment went so low at that point that even at the point when I really wanted to read the sequels, I was just like, but do I bother? Because I feel like the second book, because apparently it's a trilogy and not a duology, it's going to be like just building up the third book and it's not going to mean anything. And then I need to read 2 more books to get to the conclusion. And I don't know, do I care enough? I don't know. But it still had an interesting ending, and I found that the fact that the way it ended, like the way they solved certain things in the story, made for the rest of the series to put it in a really interesting place, is what I'm trying to say. And it's not always that happens. So 3 stars. Our first 3-star. Love that. Oh no, I forgot I gave When We Collided 3 stars. Sorry. And Yay! The next one I actually read previously, and that is Winter Song by S.J. Jones, February 2017. The years just flew by because we didn't have a box every month compared to the Fair Fluid ones. This one is a labyrinth retelling. I actually read this a while ago and I ended up really enjoying it, actually. It's not that long since I read it, considering the fact that I owned it for a really long time, but then I finally decided to pick it up and I ended up actually quite enjoying it. So it's a labyrinth retelling. I don't know if you know what the labyrinth is, but it's like the Goblin King, and then he has like this kingdom where he's trying to lure in someone to be his Goblin Queen. And then we have a main character loving music and writing music, and then she's lured into the labyrinth, and it was kind of like sexy, but not spy sexy as things are now, but like to be this book, I was super shocked. I was just like, what? It's kind of like sexy but in a cutesy way, and I was very shocked, and it was like enjoyable in that regard. I find it enjoyable. It gave me what I wanted from the Labyrinth movie when I watched it years ago, and I had a good time. However, the ending put me off a bit. And then I actually read a sequel too, which is called Shadow Song, and that was super annoying because like it did that certain aspect in this was kind of, I wasn't saying deleted, but like a bit like, why are we just doing the same thing again in a way? So because of that, that made the enjoyment that I had in the first book go down, because it kind of, the aspects of the things, the way it played out, even though I'm doing this one, I don't know how to explain it. That was a really bad sentence. I wanted to see what I rated it first time, because I feel like it was the time I just rated everything 4 stars. I did give it 4. I feel like now maybe I would have given it a 3 if I read it at this time. When did I read this? Because I definitely read it later than, like, for example, Nevernight. But when? 2022. Okay, I felt like it wasn't that long ago, but honestly, it's not that long ago. But it feels a long time ago. Considering that this was a box for what? What did we just say? 2017. It was the first in 2017. Sorry. That is really weird. But what I'm trying to say is that I feel like I would have given maybe a 3 now. But do we just put it in a 4? Because that's what I read in Nevernight. Like, since I gave that a 4 as well then. I guess that's what we are doing, because like that was what I felt when I read it. But yeah, I don't think it is a bad book considering all the things I read. I feel like it gave what I wanted. I just feel like there was no need to be a sequel. So if you read it, you don't necessarily need to read a sequel. That is what I recommend. So the next I need to read is actually Truth and Dare by Non Pratt, which was the May 2017 box, which is only book 7, which I feel like is very little. I have ordered this at the library because I can't get it in a digital library and I don't want to spend money. But it hasn't arrived yet because it needed to be sent from a different library in the country. So hopefully it will arrive like within the next week and then I will read that. But as that goes on, I will read other things and then I will just cut it around to make it look really good. And I didn't even need to tell you this, but I'm telling you because I feel like we need to be honest and open with each other. That is how it's gonna go. But I want all the books to be in order in the actual vlog, but I might not read them in order because I need to wait, and I don't want to wait too long because I just want to continue on this vlog. But yeah, so far, semi-good, but not really. Like, I haven't really, I'm waiting for like a good 5-star. I want like 5 good 5 stars in this vlog. That's what I want. See you later. Okay. So I got in the next book that I need to read that I got from the library. The borrow time is very, very short, so I'm actually going to return it today. I finished it last night and I stayed up until like 2:30 to finish it for no reason at all. Like, it's not like I had to finish it, but I just like had this feeling where like I want to finish this tonight, and it was a bit later than I thought it would be. This is, did I say this last time? May 2017. Box 7. We only book 7. Oh my god. I have a lot to say about this. So I'm going to try to keep it short, even though I feel like I could have talked about this for a really long time. First of all, it is a book that is split in 2 parts. So we first read like the first part until like ish middle, and then you actually have to turn the book around to read the next part. I don't really know why this was a choice. It's very interesting because again, it is a YA contemporary from 2017. So that was a different time of YA contemporary. The author definitely writes about in the beginning that it's important to have diverse stories, and it's definitely more for diverse story than I have read that like feels like a newer YA contemporary, because there was a period where there was no, you know, diversity in general, and like I feel like it came a lot of that later, which is obviously super, super good. But this was released in 2017, which I feel like is ahead of its time. That's what I got to say about that. But it follows a main character, or one of my characters, Claire, who just had like a video released of her where, well, it was sexual harassment because they released a video on her without her consent of her boobs because she lost her bikini top in class, and she feels like really like aware of like public presence after this. And then she started volunteering at this like center for people with different disabilities, and one of the boys there was just in a car accident, and she knows him because he is one of the older brothers of one of people at the school. So they had like an assembly about it, and he is now severely disabled because of this, and it's like trying to learn again like how to move, how to speak, etc. And he would never fully recover, obviously, but he still obviously want to recover as much as possible. And she's there like reading from every week, and then his younger brother wants to raise money so he can continue going to that center because it's very expensive. So they start this YouTube channel together, and on this YouTube channel they do different like dares. It's called Truth and Dare, and they do different dares that becomes more and more dangerous as we go on. And she obviously doesn't want a public presence, so they have like an anonymous identity, etc. And then they also in the process fall for each other. And then we leave like her point of view, and we go to his point of view of like the boy she's doing all these dares with, and sees like his point of view more close knit in his like family, of like how it is obviously to have now a person in the family that also needs lots more support, and how like it affects them all mentally. And like because it was an accident, obviously it feels super sad, and obviously that's very understandable, but also being supportive and understanding that is their new life, which is also good. And our main character going through a lot of like guilt, etc., because he feels like it's his fault. Now I think that the book would have been better now today if they had like just turned the point of views, like we had every second point of view instead of having like this cliffhanger, and then we need to go back in time and the other point of view to see like, because it's supposed to like add stuff to the story for things to make more sense. But I feel like in general it didn't like add that much to our point of views with Claire. I was about to call her Chloe because I'm reading another thing with a main character and Chloe, because I feel like they would have filled each other better out if they had just like had every other point of view or something, instead of like us going back to the beginning to then like having to read through the same things again from his point of view. But I do think that the book was in general very like, it was touching. And I feel like, for example, he's not white, he's not from a white family. He brings up racism. I was like, racism in a white contemporary in 2017. Okay, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen that often, but I just meant like generally the market has changed a lot since then, which is a good thing. And also Claire had like a best friend who was ace, and we had like an ace rep, which like I don't want to say more about, but like I feel like parts of the rap was good, where like she was trying to explain like what it actually means to be ace. But I feel like I ace rap in a book from 2017. Excuse me. Okay, I'm sorry. I know there was more than this. For example, let's talk about Love by Claire Can. I know that was released in 2018, so like it's not that far off, you know. But still, I just thought that some parts of that rap was very interesting. The way that she explained how she felt, and then that was disregarded. But I also felt like parts of it could have been done better as well. Not that I'm an expert, but that's what I got to say. The disability aspect of the story I thought was very interesting. I do feel like it was done with grace. It brings up obviously some ableist things, like there are ableist people around them, and like how our main character reacts to it is very interesting. But the way there is a lot of character development, focus on his character development towards this is kind of the point of the story. But it is still ableist parts of the story as well. But granted, I don't think it's a bad book, but I do think like the whole like truth and dare aspects of the story that kind of annoyed me. I'm just like, they were doing this YouTube channel to earn money, and I'm like, I don't think like that's how it works. I feel do think it's interesting to read about YouTubers in a way, like in a different way that this was done, because obviously YouTube is very different now than it was in 2017. And as a YouTuber myself, I do think it was interesting. And I noticed myself getting a bit emotionally connected, at least to the family of Seth's family, which was the dude. I feel like I was left in the last page, I was a bit like touched actually. So I was surprised of me feeling that much for the story at all. Sorry, my chair keeps making noises. But then I was just sitting there like, but did it give me more than that? Because I felt myself, the plot itself wasn't that interesting, even though I feel like it came to a nice end, and I feel like the development was nice. I just felt myself being a bit like, I wish certain things had been done differently in a way that I cared, but I didn't care enough for me to love it. So I ended up giving it like a 3, but I would definitely give it a 3.5, which is what I did on Storygraph. But for the sake of this video, since we are rounding not up or down, it is a 3, because I do believe like in a few months I'm gonna, in like a little while, I would totally have forgotten about this, even though parts of the story did make me feel emotional, and did feel like it brought up a lot of things, and again, it feels like a really well researched and good book. And yeah, I guess that's what I got to say. I feel like I could have talked about a lot of things in the book more thoroughly. But again, this video is going to be 4 hours long, so we should get going. Now, the next book I have here, I have actually read previously. I read it many years ago. Not when it came out, but I read it a couple of years ago. And that is Wonder Woman Warbringer by Lee Bardugo. So this was like the first book in the DC Icon series that it did, which is like YA books from DC characters written by known like YA authors. And then we had Lee Bardugo doing the first one. There's another one coming here very soon. And this is about Wonder Woman. I don't know like if you want a plot or something, but it is Wonder Woman. I have the UK edition. I do believe when I read it, I enjoyed it a lot. I don't remember exactly what I rated it, but I like DC a lot. I loved DC for a really long time. I still do. I just feel like, well, for example, the movies doesn't appeal to me as much. I read it apparently in 2019, which now is a couple of years ago, even though I feel like it was literally 2 years ago. I remember enjoying it. I thought it was entertaining. I gave it a 4, so we can keep to that. I love that all my 4-star ratings are from myself in the past. So I did read it like 2 years after the release. Did I say like we are now in August 2017, so this was box 8. It's confusing that it's not every month in the beginning. I don't even remember, but there was a certain criticisms to the story. I don't remember enough to talk about it now, but I do remember people thought it was really long. I enjoyed it. I don't remember much from it now, but I'm not going to reread it. But maybe in a few years, if I really feel like it. It was good at the time and I enjoyed it. I'm not going to unhaul it because it's out of print. So yeah, nice. I love that we had like the shortest review ever of the longest review ever. So then for November 2017, and we soon get it in monthly boxes, hopefully, which was just box 9, we had Artemis by Andy Weir. I read this a few days ago for this vlog. And this one was Andy Weir's second release after The Martian. I remember this got a lot of criticism. And honestly, I also have a lot of thoughts about this, but I'm gonna try again to keep it short. We are on the moon, so we live on the moon now, and it's like you have to like search or apply to live there, and obviously you can't have kids there because there's stuff about the gravity and stuff that makes the kids not be able to grow up there. We have a main character who came there when she was 6. She's a smuggler as well as just like delivering packages, which she's using that to smuggle on the side. It really wants a lot of money to buy a nice place, etc, etc. And in the beginning, I am not kidding you, we didn't know, like, because we are like following first person perspective, I literally thought we were following a dude because I couldn't tell that it was a woman. And I don't know if that is like sexist of me to think that this person has to be a man, or that this dude literally wrote this woman as a man. But like in theory, maybe that's not such a negative, because like it means that like woman needs to be written a certain way for you to know it is a woman, but it shouldn't be like that. I don't even know how to think like it. But she acts a bit like a dude in the beginning. Nothing wrong with that, by the way, nothing wrong with it. But I was so shocked when I found out that like we were a woman, and I was just like, oh, I thought we were due for like 3 chapters, but I don't know, I thought it was hilarious. But she's very like Bristol, a bit like, I liked her. But then there's like several layers to our characters that we like unravel as we go on. But she gets offered this big heist that is very, very, very illegal, and it's done wrapped up this conspiracy, and like with a lot of money, with the mafia. She needs to basically save everyone in the end. There is like a thing where she feels like she's all alone and doesn't have anyone, but then it turns out she has lots of friends that really stands up for her, and she's not alone at all. And I thought that was a really like sweet, like kind of a found family moment. I did think the writing annoyed me, but I think a main character annoyed me, like the way she acted. And is that because she acted like the man? Does that make me sexist that a woman needs to act in a certain way? I really like, that's not what I mean, but it's just the way she was. I just felt like she was very like brusque and rude and selfish, but then like turns out that we find out why. So like she grew on me after a while, but it took me a moment to be like, can you stop being so annoying and just think about yourself? And then it kind of makes sense, because that's not what she was doing, you know. But like the heist itself wasn't that interesting, but I do really like how Andy Weir writes, like, because he explains like science stuff in a way that makes you, as a normal person that don't know science, you understand what he's talking about. Like he explains like things with gravity, how things work on the moon, how the days are, why certain things doesn't work there, and why like they need to fix certain things that are like, if something is broken. He explains it in a way that makes it interesting, but I still didn't feel like 100% invested in the story. And I do believe it is because I felt like a disconnect with the character a lot of the time. And then like the story itself, as I said, wasn't as appealing, even though granted I would also do a lot for money, because please give me money. But I just felt like Project Hail Mary is one of my favorite books. It is absolutely marvelous and amazing, and I love it. And I just felt like that connection that I have with Project Hail Mary didn't come forward here. I have not actually read The Martian, which is the most known book book and his first book, which is funny. But the way he writes, I do think is a precedent to make science available for everyone. Accessible is maybe the right word. And I gave this a 3 as well. I feel like I'm giving everything a 3 or a 2 or whatever. I felt fine about it, but I didn't like fall completely in love with it. But I don't think I hated it. I just felt like it was a jolting book to follow at first. Okay, so the next book is for February 2018, and that actually had a theme, which was Rise Up. I don't know if I remember to say the themes of every box, by the way. I don't know what I did in the Fairly vlog anymore. This is Blood and Sand by C.V. Wicks. I'm waiting for it to come off hold. This is the digital library, because truthfully there wasn't the digital library. So that is why I have it physically. And now I can return it. It says 2 weeks, so I'm hoping obviously it will come in before then. I will just like continue down the list and then we will see how it all comes together in the end. Going well or something. I wanted to after the vlog before the sun when it's going down. The sun is literally going down in front of my face because I was a bit slow. I'm on sprints. I have read a couple of more books for the vlog and blended by the sun, so this is great. I had to wait for Blood and Sand by C.V. Wicks. This one was apparently like the first one in a series or a duology, and then they canceled book 2, so we are not getting book 2 because apparently it didn't sell well enough, and I'm like, hello? And it is like a Spartacus retelling. I'm saying retelling really heavily. For example, we follow Spartacus. Spartacus is a known historic figure from like Roman Empire times, and he was a gladiator that started like revolts against slavery because he was forced into slavery as a gladiator. And here the main character the authors made Spartacus into a woman who was like from one of the islands that Rome like occupied or took over, and she's like the surviving princess. She's like a warrior princess, and then she kind of helps this dude in the arena once, so then she's hidden, and then she names herself Spartacus. And then we follow him and her. He's one of like really known gladiator, and she's like a slave, and she's like his slave. It was like a gift for him, nasty. But like they form like a really close relationship because they are forced into the slavery and obviously don't want to be there. And then we go from there. So it's set in Roman Empire time. There is very like, the author really points out that this is just like loose historic things. She knows the real history, and if you're on with it, you know, you can see the differences I made, but she did it for fun, like a lot of other things people do when they have a retelling of like a historic thingy thing. I didn't like actually hate it. I'm actually a huge fan of the Spartacus TV show. If you have seen that or know about it, it was like pretty big back in a couple of years ago. I actually really loved that, even though like it had a lot of problematic things happening there, and it was really weird at times, but I had a lot of fun with it, and the plot twists that was great, and like the political backstabbing. And because of that, I had a lot of biases going into the book, because I can definitely see like the big inspiration for that, and like I was initially intrigued in it because of Spartacus. So because of that, I had a more positive feeling going into it. I did know that we were not going to conclude anything, because I also knew that the sequel was cancelled, and the way it ends, where you really want to know what's going to happen next, and then it ends and we never get to find out the rest, that actually sucked a lot. And I am actually quite sad that they didn't just publish a second book when it was probably already written. They could at least release it as an ebook or something so that people could read it, instead of like just cancelling the whole thing. It wasn't terrible. I don't think it was the most original best book in the whole world, but I was like engaged in the story and interested in it. But again, I do think it's because of my biases of being interested in Spartacus initially. But I'm giving it a 3. I'm being nice and I'm giving it a 3, and I felt fine reading it. It wasn't terrible and it wasn't amazing, but it was fine, you know? Yes, sorry, I'm coloring what I talked about. So I had to wait for this, but then I have also continued. The next one is a book that I read before, and I completely forgot that this was a Illumicrate pick. This is May 2018 for Hidden Talents, and it is 1,000 Perfect Notes by C.J. Drews. If you know, C.J. Drews just released the Forest book, Don't Let the Forest In, which like has been quite big and like reached New York Times bestsellers, etc. But this was the first release by the author many years before. This and another book, The Boy Who Steals Houses. And I read this a couple of years ago. I followed the author on Instagram for many years, and obviously they promoted the book a lot before it was released, and then I bought it because I was interested in it, and it was so good. It is actually one of my favorite contemporaries, and I haven't reread it since I read it, but I really enjoyed it when I read it. It reminds a lot of the anime Your Lie in April, if you're familiar with that. We have a boy who's very abused by his mother, and he's playing the piano. It's like forced to practice all day and all in, and people hate him because he's like so accurate in he's like exactly off the notes, no like mistakes, but no emotion in it either. But he's doing really well because he does not make mistakes. And then he meets this vibrant girl that like gives him belief in life again, and it reminds a lot of like Your Lie in April. It's sad, heartbreaking, but really, really well written, very full of emotion. I absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed the Boys Houses. I still not read Don't Let the Force In, but I'm very excited for it. I'm very happy that the author is coming back with many, many more books, and I love to see that, and I love to see the author thrive. So I do think that this was marvelously written for the contemporary was, and at the time I did give it 5 stars, which I will stand by today, which is incredible, honestly. I would very much recommend it if you haven't checked it out. I think it was a really, really good and well written book, and also if you have 2 copies of it, you can line them side by side and it will be the complete butterfly. So that's what I got to say about that. So as I was waiting for Blood and Sand to get in, I did also read the next book. Now I can move the camera a bit because the sun is down, the sun is gone, but it's still some daylight, so it's fine. And the next book was Catwoman Soul Stealer by Sarah J. Maas. So we had Wonder Woman earlier, which I had read before this vlog, but this one I hadn't read. I just owned it on my TBR since 2018 when it was released. I have the UK hardcover, as you can see. I got like this signed book plate edition thingy, and I just owned it for years and years and years, and saw that this was now an Illumicrate book, and I was like, dang it. Now I need to read it. Dang it. There's one Sarah J. Maas I haven't read. I'm lying because I never finished Crescent City either. But this is DC Icon series. We follow Catwoman and then Batman, not Batman, but it's like the Batman's like companion. He is often a vital mission, which is the Marie Lou book in the same series. And we follow, you know, Selena, which is a bit ironic that she's named Selena, and then the main character in Throne of Glass is named Selena, you know. She's just like doing her stuff, going back to the city. She's been gone for many years. She's setting up stuff to happen for reasons, creating chaos in Gotham. You know, I really love Gotham. I talked about this earlier with Wonder Woman. I enjoy Batman a lot. I enjoy the characters from DC. But this was really boring. I wasn't interesting. I'm not familiar enough with the comics to say if this was good or bad, but I honestly just like, I'm not saying it was necessarily even bad because of Sarah J. Maas writing it. The story wasn't engaging. We were like doing these things and making chaos in the city, but obviously with like a different purpose. But it was kind of obvious what the purpose was all along, and then it was just ending, and I was just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, and then there was like this romance. I'm like, why do we have this romance? Do I care? Is this from the actual comics? I don't know enough about the comics. I do believe that probably it is, but I'm just like, I was sitting there with nothing because there's so many like variants of the comics of who is together with who and when and everything. So everyone does the different interpretations. That's fine. It's time to see how many lives this cat really has. I do think like it was fine, but overall I just felt like it didn't give any substance of what I wanted in the story, and I ended up giving it a 2, and I was quite bored. So that is what I got to say about that one. The theme was also criminal, which fits really well though. I will get back to you with the next books soon. Hello. I have now finished more books for this vlog, so let's talk about them. We have Empress of All Seasons by Emiko Jean. This was for November 2018 for the box Clever Ruse. And in this one, we have like this Japanese-inspired fantasy thing. Honestly, I don't know what was going on in like the whole book, but there is this girl that she's going to marry, I think the prince, and then she doesn't want to. And then there's like this like mirror of illusion as like a test thing. I didn't really get it. Like honestly. And now it's been like a bit of a while since I read it, since I've been slow updating the vlog. Please don't judge me. I struggle with this book. I genuinely heard about it for years before reading it, and I always heard bad things. It's just a really bizarre book, and obviously I want to like it because it's a Asian-inspired fantasy. It's like in the palace of illusion, nothing is as it seems. That's like what I got. And then we'll just kind of see the synopsis because I'm trying to like explain it. She's training to become empress, and then like it's gonna win like this competition thing, and like you don't understand what is going on, and it's not even like because they're illusions. It's just written in a way that I was like, I don't like it. So I'm left with like really nothing. This is the same author as like this other YA contemporary where it's like there is like this girl who finds out that she's part of the royal family in Japan. It's called Tokyo Ever After. I actually enjoyed that much more. I thought that was interesting. Oh my god, author has a book called The Return of Ali Black out, which was released in 2024, which has more ratings than all her other books. So maybe I should try out that one. Yeah, it seems to have a really, people seem to really enjoy that one. Definitely want to check that out because I really enjoyed like Tokyo Ever After. I had like this silly kind of YA contemporary plot where like just a girl find out she's a princess, and it was fun. This one was not fun, and I ended up giving it a 2, honestly. Why did I give it a 2, another 1? I don't know. But here we are. I guess I didn't feel like I hated it. I was just bored. So there's that. Let's go to the next one. The next, I had to borrow it at a library, and I had to borrow it for like a library far away. So they sent it, which is like a service you have in a library, which is really great because I did not want to buy this one. This is The Orphanage of Gods by Helena Kogan. And this was the February 2019 box for Gods and Monsters. I actually took notes for this one because it was so terrible that like I had to write down to remember how terrible and how much I did not like it. I'm thinking about it now and I'm so frustrated, but now that at least that I'm filming this clip, I can return this book and never think about it again. But it was just so, oh my god, guys. Okay, so we have this world where they have killed all the gods, or like they're gotten rid of all the gods. But then we have people who are like godborn, or like they have godly powers, and we hate them, so we like try to kill them. But then we can't just kill all the kids that we have, so we have these different orphanages, and then they can test your blood to see if you are godborn or whatever. And then we have 2 or 5 characters who are like running away from their orphanage, and to save like, for one of them, like it's like her closest friend, and for the dude, it's like his lover or whatever. And they see each other as siblings. It was really weird to like grasp a whole at first of what was actually going on. We have like the first 100 pages where we have like one certain story, and we are like on the road to go and save this girl. That is kind of like the plot. And like one of the characters, he changes so much in those pages. Like he's like becomes a completely different character than like she has known him in his entire life. And I was just like, what is going on? Or maybe like she didn't know him as well as she thought, but like, it was just the way it was written. It was just like he became a new person in like a month, and I thought that was really weird. We got like random flashbacks in the middle of the text that I like had a hard time like deciphering if we were in a flashback or not. So that was really frustrating. And the people with the powers, the godborn or whatever, they were like super powerful, like super powerful powers, but they were still like suppressed, and like people like super easily, I was gonna say, had control of them. And I was like, this is not making any sense. If you can do all of this with your power, how are we in this society in the first place? In the middle of the story, we also changed point of views. So like we have separated the story into 3 point of views of different characters, or 4 was it? I can't even recall that right now. It was really jarring because like you don't follow the same character again. You kind of just see them for that portion of the book, and then we change it, and it just like some of it didn't feel like that was even necessary, or like some of the point of views I'm like, why are we following this person? So there's that. It was also sapphic, but it was also super random because it just like came out of nowhere. I'm not saying like it needs to like be explained to be gay, that's not what I mean, but like the romance itself was just so bad, and I felt that it was really just put there to be like, we want to have a romance here for no reason at all. Yeah, I wouldn't be like, this is the sapphic book I recommend. I was just like, it was not well developed at all. Then everything just becomes sort of wild because like it is a standalone. So like the author want to wrap up this whole story in these 400 pages. And granted, that is fine, but also it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but the string of events that we have in this book and the way the characters act and like their actions and how like why they're doing what they're doing, it's just explained in such a manner that I'm like, it's not even explained. That's kind of the point. It's just like, it's like this, and now we're doing this because this character might do this, and I'm like, but why is this other character doing this? I cannot explain it because honestly, it was just not well rounded or explained or explored in any way. And then we had the ending, which made me actually laugh hysterically. I remember sitting up till like 2 a.m. to finish this book because I didn't want to remember. I'm talking about it like it was like ages ago. I just been a bit slow uploading the vlog. It's not been that long, but I remember just like starting to laugh hysterically because it was just so like, what was the point of this story? What was the point of this book? I kept like sending voice notes to my friend Cecilia to be like, look, this is me laughing literally right now. I could not stop laughing because it was just hilariously idiotic for me to read this book that had no point, and then just like, I don't understand, why did it end like that? Why was the story like that? I'm sorry, I could keep ranting and I could go into like excruciating detail of things that bugged me, but just the overall the story was just not good. It was not well crafted and well thought through. It was plot holes upon plot holes, and it was like one part of the story that is revealed. I cannot say because obviously it's a spoiler, but it's just like, I was just like, why? Why? And I just kept doing this thing over and over, and I was just like, if this has been a thing all along, I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. It was not good. I was going to say I'm traumatized for reading this book because it was so bad. It's not like the rest of the books here has helped me later. Imagine if I bought that book and then it ended up being like that. I would have cried. I would have cried actual tears. The next one we have is also a bit of a struggle, actually. It's been a struggle bus, this whole thing, honestly. That is Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCartney. That was from March 2019. And the last one was February 2019, so that means that we now started with the monthly boxes. This was Adventure Awaits. This is a sci-fi story, like Arthurian legend based, where we also have like lots of time travel. It's also very queer. And we have the story, I guess, trying to find out like who is gonna like be the next author, etc. And then it was just a jumble of things. And honestly, I could not follow this story. It was a bit like Empress of All Seasons. It didn't give me anything. And it was just like a jumble of different characters that I didn't care for, and a plot I didn't care for, and I didn't care for anything. Can I say it was bad? Because like Orphanage of Gods, that was bad. But I wouldn't say that this is bad. It was just like confusing. Another book for me. I have a magic sword, a conquer wizard, and a revolutionary to start. The reason literally that I need to look up the synopsis, it's just like the books are just so like nothing hangs in my mind anymore because it was just so uninteresting that I just think that I need to find a way to explain it. It was not for me. I gave it a 2. I had heard mixed things about it in general before, so I didn't like have great hopes, but I hoped that it would surprise me. It didn't. Do love that we have different queer books though. So what I can see now is that like literally the only ones I actually like given above the tree right now is the things I read before. So there's that. Speaking of that trajectory, we had Descendant of the Crane by Joanne He. This was the next one, which was April 2019, and Your Majesty. This is an arc that I actually got from my friend, and I read it when it was released, and like I posted a review and everything on my channel. Don't remember what I said in that review anymore, but here we are. Later, the author had to switch publisher, but they did pay her, and then we don't have this cover anymore, but I actually really like this cover, but the new one is also really pretty. So there was some stuff with that happening, I remember. This is like a court Asian fantasy. It's a long time since I read it, but it was like her father's been murdered, she's thrust into power, suddenly the queen, and now she's trying to find the father's killer. It had a really good atmosphere, I'm remembering. I wanted a bit more out of the plot itself, but I overall enjoyed myself. I do kind of want to reread actually at a point, because I do think that the story was fun, and I wonder how I would see it now today. Basically finding her father killer, and it's like courtly and like politics and stuff. I just wanted to see like, because I do believe I gave it a 4. Descendant of the Crane. Here we are. Oh, the new cover is very pretty. That's what shows up when you search for it. Excuse me? Why does it say that I gave it 2 stars? It does say that I enjoyed the ideas. I was let down. Mostly problem for me was the writing, which I did not match for me at all. There were times I was really confused on what was happening. I had no idea and had to go back and reread. I mean, Sandra apparently in this present cannot recall it. Did I give this 2 stars? Do I need to watch my own review? I don't have any recollection of doing this, guys. I'm sure I was gonna say I like enjoyed it. I mean, I thought I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the atmosphere at least, but maybe I am just remembering wrong. This is hilarious. Can I see my own video, please? It's giving me ads. It's just like I missed some things being fleshed out. Oh my god, I look very different. I need to listen to what I'm saying. I need to listen to the rating. Okay, I had to listen to myself saying lots of stuff. Apparently, I said it was lots of potential, but it let me down, and a lot of things. I have no recollection of this. The reason why I thought I liked it more, I think, is because I really enjoyed the other one by the author that I read. This is like a sci-fi. Where is it? The Ones We Are Meant to Find. I really liked that one. There was like a really atmospheric, like sci-fi dystopian read, and I really liked that. Strike the Scyther I also read by the author, which is also inspired by a Chinese epic. This is not. I gave both of those 4. So in the end, in my mind, I was like, I'm surely I'd give it this 4, but I gave it a 2. And I do remember that I wanted more development, that she builds up a lot in the story, and that's what I said in my review. Then like she never gave us enough of all the different things that I enjoyed. I enjoyed apparently the character of her brother the most, and then yeah. Also see myself, that was way too long ago. I looked very different, and the shelves looked weird, and the quality was shit. But yeah, that was interesting. I guess I gave it a 2 then, and I will stand by that, as we have stood by the other ratings for the other books, even though like I don't know sure if I would have given them the rating now. Maybe I would enjoy Descendant of the Crane anymore now, but I remember feeling, now that I'm seeing myself talking, I remember feeling frustrated because the writing didn't match with me, and then I was a bit like, who's what was happening, and I like the things that I liked wasn't developed enough. I guess, remember it now. Oh my god, guys, I gaslight myself into thinking that I gave this a 4-star when it was a 2 all along. But I was right, because in the video I said I do believe that the author has a lot of potential and I will like her future releases. I tried to say it at least, and that is exactly what happened. I have enjoyed other future releases by the author a lot more. So that also goes to saying that even though you haven't enjoyed a book by an author for the first time, you can end up really, really liking it later, because like they need time to grow, and like I could see it and I was right. So thank you, Cassandra. So actually my camera is about to die, so I will try to not wait too long to update again, and you can see me later. I'm about to film a little video, so I thought that I could update this vlog first before my camera battery dies. Smart girl, you know, sometimes. So, read a couple of more, and some I read before. I read... Where is the book? My desk is a bit of a mess. Don't judge me. I'm judging myself, okay, I swear. So we have Aurora Rising by Mr. J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is the first one in the Aurora Cycle series, whatever we're calling it. And I actually have a personalized copy because I ordered it at this site, and then I was in Japan at the time when it was released, and I remember like checking the tracking because I had to send it to my friend because I wasn't home, and it just like it traveled to like this Caribbean island, and then it used like a 1.5 month before it was actually there, but I didn't care because I wasn't home anyway. And now years later I finally read it. I don't know what I felt about this, honestly. I was actually quite bored a lot of the way. We have this I don't know, pilots or so, and they just graduated, so they need to form their own crew. And then we have our main character, who's like one of the best, or one of the main characters, and he could like choose the best crew, but he gets delayed because he's saving this girl Aurora, and then he like gets like a bad crew together with 2 of the best ones that he already knows from before, and then like 2 others that he doesn't know. And then Aurora also kind of joins them when they're gonna leave, because she's kind of on a run, because she was in, what's it called, when you are asleep and you're gonna travel somewhere, and then it's been like hundreds of years instead of like the whatever months or years they were supposed to take, and then there's like secrets behind this, and then they're after them, and now they're gonna do it together. Actually, there are more people on the ship than I thought. There's the Alpha, the diplomat, the scientist, the gearhead, the warrior, the pilot, the mystery girl. That is a lot of people that I did not care for. Because I didn't care for the book. I thought the beginning was interesting as we set up the story, but then as we went out to do things, I was just like losing interest. I felt like the characters blended together, and I felt like it wasn't an engaging plot or like anything about it I felt like was special and unique as a sci-fi story that made me hooked into it. And then I was just sitting there like, wow, that was that. And I gave it 2 stars. And I know there's been like mixed stuff about the story in general, and that's how I'm feeling. And I know there was like other criticisms about the book when it came out, like Aurora, she's Asian, and I do remember there was like the way that was represented and how people talked about it, but now I can't remember what I said. As an Asian myself, I have forgotten because that was so many years ago. But like, be aware of that if you want to check it out. I could have gone and read reviews now, but I just like don't care about this book so much that I don't care to look up that. I gave it a 2 because like it had potential, and like I didn't hate it and it wasn't terrible. I do believe that people can enjoy the story, it just wasn't for me. However, that do mean that I knocked out a book on my TBR, which is great. However, I also do own book 2, and I never bought book 3 because I just lost interest in the author, etc. So I don't know, man, like I want to get rid of it, but that is personal to me, so I'm like, that seems silly. And then the other one is like a special edition, so I don't know what to do with that. So I'm just struggling with what to do with the whole thing. But I will figure it out eventually. Then I read This Time Will Be Different by Misa Sugiura. This is another YA contemporary. This is so interesting for me. It's like an Asian YA contemporary, which obviously I do enjoy that. We have a main character who is Japanese, and then I was struggling, honestly, with this whole book a bit, because she has a best friend who is lesbian. She has like a nemesis kind of at school, and they start liking each other, but she had done like a problematic thing in the past, like that other person, her nemesis. And then also she has like a bit of a white savior complex that they do call out. So they use these characters kind of like, they used to call out, but then she's also doing better. So it was an interesting way, I guess. And then our main character is pregnant at a point. But that wasn't like explored or really talked about more, as like I thought they would. Like, it's a pretty big deal, and like, yeah. So I just thought like, oh, we're just forgetting about that part of the story. Like, that wasn't brought up again, so I didn't really get it. Like, she has a relationship with her mother, and then like her friends, and then she's starting like this romance with this dude, and then I also like trying to do this thing for school. So it's very like, why contemporary, like they care way too much about school, and I just don't care that much about school anymore in that way, and I never felt I did when I was there. And it's like drama with a friend group, etc. But I can really enjoy the stories if they're written well. My voice actually is cracking. But this one just it was just like a mix of so many things, and I just didn't feel like it came that well together. Honestly, I don't know what's going on with my ratings, because I feel like I'm being too nice. I feel like Aurora Rising should have been a 1-star for me. But here I went and gave it a 2-star. This time we were different. I feel like it should have been 2-star, but apparently I gave it a 3, so I guess I enjoyed it a bit more. I'm talking as if this is ages ago. This is 2 nights ago, and I already feel like, why did I give it that rating? So that is interesting for me. But I just felt, I guess, like, the way the story brought up some topics and called out people wasn't done like terribly for me. I feel like it's important, and I feel like our main character was very self-reflective also of her mistakes. So I guess I like that. I just wish the whole like story was constructed a bit better. We can give it a 3, I guess. Even though I could totally have changed my mind. But hello, my average rating here is so low already, so it doesn't matter. Next one is obviously for July 2019. It's a kind of magic. That is Sanctuary by Vivi James. And this one I set up into 3 a.m. to finish. Not this night that had just been, but the night before. And that was basically because I thought I was reading much faster than I thought it was. And that also was very enjoyable and very interesting. And then apparently it turned 3 a.m. I was very tired there in the end. This one actually was very interesting, and apparently it's made into a TV show. I think like it's so random sometimes when a not that popular book just gets a TV show. Like, who decides this? And then like the super popular things don't get one. That is also interesting. But this is set in like a small town, and in this world which is unknown, and like they're known to exist. And then we have different point of views for people in this town. But we have this friend group of 4 women, and they are kind of a coven. One of them is a witch, and the other 3 like are helping her with energy, etc. And then one of like the people in the coven, not the witch's child, but one of the people in the coven, her son dies, and then she goes, well, obviously she is consumed by sorrow, which is totally understandable, but then she blames it on her friend's child that is a witch, and like believes that witchery killed her son, and then the whole town is turned against this family, this mother and this daughter. And then we also follow, for example, like the detective that's actually looking into this case to see what actually happened, and then the story devolves from there. It was very interesting how, why am I getting goosebumps? I thought personally this was really well written. I thought it made sense how the story went. I thought it was a really intriguing mystery, because I wanted to know what was going on and like what the actually answers were, and like they kept like tricking you because they thought we had an answer, but then it was something else, and then it was something else, and then the ending I thought was really good. I thought it was very intriguing. I enjoyed the characters, even like the ones that I want to literally strangle, because they were so like hateful and bigots and just terrible people, but then at the same time you could understand where it was coming from. Not that that was an excuse or anything, that's not what I mean, but like as we follow the characters you could see where they came from, and then used to just want to strangle them. I thought it was very interesting, and I thought it was very interesting to see how all these people that had known this person for years, and she'd been kind to them and even broken rules for them to help them with her powers, and then in the second they start doubting her, they turn their back against her, and I thought that was really sad. I actually want to watch the TV show, because I do think like that as a show in my head, it works really well. I do believe that it can be a bit like trashy, but like in a good way still. I thought it was a good time. I really liked the secrets that was revealed and how the story carried itself, and I had a really good time. And I am as shocked as you, because every book I read here that I haven't read before, I have not enjoyed that much, as we know. And this one, I instantly gave 4 stars, and I don't regret it. Like 2 days afterwards. No, I feel like now I'm just being mean. This time will be different. Definitely can have a 3-star, okay? It was fun. But yeah, Sanctuary, a 4-star, guys. A 4-star, which you should be shocked about, honestly, because I am shocked as you. I didn't expect it, because like I just looked at it and I'm like, this doesn't seem like something I will enjoy. But then I just really enjoyed how it was written. I liked the characters. I like to see it play out. It is a standalone, but I saw also that the TV show, because I had to search it up when it said that it had the TV show, has been renewed for a second season. So it definitely, but the way it ended, definitely can have a second season. But can that be as good as like the first season? Not that I watched that, if it doesn't have the book to base itself on, because rarely that happens, you know. Okay, now comes things that I read before. But this clip is very long, and I do film my other video as well. So I thought that we would talk about one more, and then I shall get back to you soon. So the next one is Gideon the Ninth. That was dusty. And Gideon the Ninth is one of my favorite books. So honestly, like, it's not my fault. This was August 2019, Armed and Dangerous. I do believe I ordered this in Japan too. I remember the first print had black spread edges. So again, I sent this to my friend. And then I do also have the second book in black spread edges. But then it was super hard to get the third one, because they made it difficult. But then Illumicrate later did a set. Because I do believe Illumicrate did it in a monthly box. But then also did a set later, which is here. It is absolutely stunning. So that is great to represent. Are these very dusty, or is it just me? Represent Illumicrate in Illumicrate vlog, and we'll bring out my Illumicrate edition, which is orange. I love it so much. They are so pretty, and we are still waiting for Electo, which is the fourth book and the final one in the series. Oh, wait, the reverse jacket is cool. I kind of forgot that it was really cool. Either way, Gideon the Ninth is a really rare book, but it is pitched as lesbian necromancers in space. We follow these different planets, and we are on like the house of the ninth house, the ninth house's planet, and the god in the world is looking for his next like second-hand man. It's called something, a praetor, something. So the daughter of our family is going to compete in this, and then she needs a swordsman, which becomes Gideon. And they kind of hated each other all their life, and like been mean to each other. Oh no. And then they are going to this planet to compete, and people start dying there, which is ironic because everyone has different kinds of necromancy powers. And then we are like on the ship trying to compete, and then the series just goes. It's written a bit weird and very different, but it's so well done. I have now read it twice, and I really do want to reread. And then the second book, I'm just saying, because we are here, that it starts off not as you think it will go after this one at all. And I think that the author is bold in doing this, but it's super done. It's marvelous. And the same with the third one, which is also super confusing, and I cannot wait again for the fourth and final book. I do think that when we actually know the release date of that, I shall try to do a reread through the series. But yeah, I absolutely love it. Again, it can be a bit confusing and weird, and I know a lot of people don't like it because of this, but I personally love it. And when I read it the first time, I gave it a very strong 4.5 or something, but I have since later given it a 5 because that's what it deserves. I just love it so much. I'm thinking about the book now, and I love it, and it's been a while, so I should definitely reread it. That is what I got to say for that one. So it is a cheat though to be one of my favorites, I think, honestly. Now I need to go and film my other video before my camera dies, so you can see me later. Hello. Once again, I have a couple of books to talk to you about. I am very excited to say that the next one in the Illumicrate was the Illumicrate. Sounds like I'm gonna say the Illuminati. Illuminati? I don't know what's happening. But it was Kingdom of Souls by Ren and Baron. This was obviously for September 2019. The box was named High Stakes. And I actually read this a couple of years ago. It's making me feel like a failure because I read this apparently in 2020. I remember very much enjoying it, by the way. It is a very good book. I have bought the rest of the trilogy. I've been super excited for it, and I still not completed it. Now I feel like it's been literally 5 years since I read the first one that I should reread, and I want to reread it because it was honestly such a ride. So here we are. But we follow a main character who is the daughter of 2 witch doctors, so she's supposed to be super powerful, and like they expected her to have really powerful magic, but she doesn't have any. So she needs to go into this like deal, really dark deal, where she trades away years of her life to get magic, to prove that she's worth everything that people thinks that she's worth. And then there's also like these murders and like children are missing, so that is also like connected to the story. I remember thinking when I read it that it was much darker and went much further than I ever thought the story would go. I was sitting there like, seriously, are we going to do everything here? Which I think is incredible, because that means that the second and third book is gonna be like completely different. Blow my mind. And then I also remember it had some really cool plot twists. I do remember also that the story felt like it was split a bit. So it felt like almost like 2 books in one. But maybe that's not completely true now that I reflect on it. It's more the fact that we have a lot of like, we go deep into darkness and we kind of get, I would say almost maybe not a split in the character, but it goes heavy fast. So that is maybe why the whole story kind of shifts in a way. And I remember just generally there's left with positive impressions, because apparently, as you can see here, the impressions I had in the past have not been correct with what I feel now. And I generally had a good time. I would very much recommend it, but I have not read the rest of the trilogy, so I've been a failure. I have them on my shelves. I'm very excited to read them, and hopefully now that I'm once again reminded of it, even though it is right in front of my face every day, I will eventually complete it. I gave it at the time 4 stars, and I do feel like that feels like a very accurate rating. Not that I would change it, because that's not what we do here apparently. I'm bullying myself. Okay, so that was King of Souls. Let's go to the next one. I will admit the next one was a bit of a struggle, but it was Angel Mage by Garth Nix, obviously done for October 2019 with Great Power is the name of the box. I just read this and I just couldn't get into it at all. Garth Nix apparently is a bit of a struggle bus also for me in general, because I did read Sabriel and I did really enjoy that. Sabriel is the book he's known for, and I thought that was a fun and good time. Generally liked it, and I never got to continue the series, but I do really want to. I just do still own it, and I do plan to continue it. And then I read like this other like Frog Kisser, which were kind of like a middle grade adventure thing, and I really did not like that. Like the way it was written, I just couldn't get into the story or care about the story. And this Angel Mage reminded me a lot of that. I honestly can't even describe you the plot. We have like angels and like angel-like creatures, etc. I'm looking at the synopsis to try to like more make sense of like what was actually going on. We have Liliath, who like is there and wants power, and then the people are serving her, etc. And she's evil a bit, but and that's obviously not good. It was like almost literally 500 pages, and I just couldn't get into the story. I couldn't get into these characters. I just was sitting there like, what is actually going on? And I just felt like the writing for me was very like, I couldn't keep a hold on anything or like really enjoy this one at all. So I don't really have much more to say to that. Like, I feel like the way I would want to go into detail to why I feel like it didn't work for me, and just generally the writing and like the way that the plot was not interesting or the characters, like nothing really sticks. And I feel like that's enough to say. And I gave this, in theory, if I was very evil right now, I feel like maybe I should give it a 1, but I'm giving it a 2 because I didn't hate it, I just didn't care for it. Apparently, we're being nice with ratings. That might change as we are only in book 23, and I thought we were further, guys. So I'm gonna cry. It's fine. It's fine. The next book for the vlog is Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I actually just reread it on audio, which was kind of random and not planned towards this vlog, but it kind of fits really well as well. I also have the Illumicrate edition. I love that for me. This was November 2019, In Search of Doors, the very perfect name of the theme. And I remember buying this when I was in Japan. I must have done that, and I sent it to my friend. And I remember people were very disappointed with this design, and honestly, it's not my favorite, but it is delicate and nice. And I do have 5 editions of Starless Sea. I had to really count there in my head. I remember I even had an arc of it. I have had a review on my channel. I have a review on my channel. So that is times to think about. And it does follow Zachary, who finds a book in the library about himself. So that is an experience he had many years ago, where he saw this door and it didn't enter it at the time when he was much younger. And then we have him many years later in college, and he reads about the story about himself, and he's sitting there like super, super confused. He's like, how can I read this story about myself? And he goes out on this investigation, which is super, super magical and cool, and he meets like different magical, I was gonna say beings in a way, but magical place, and it's really just a story with stories within itself that all like hang and connect together, and it all like comes together in this beautiful dance of magic. One of my favorite things about the story is that it has not just like this grand magic in it, but it has really like small magic. Like he goes to this magical hotel and it's so magical there, like doors disappear, food, how it appears, and like how the hotel interacts with him. It's very interesting. I love how the characters interact with him. I do think that parts of the story is like tinted with sadness, obviously, but other parts of the story is just like a beautiful adventure. It's not really like a fairy tale, but it feels very like beautiful. I don't know how else to say it. And actually, I read Night Circus and I don't actually love that as much. I gave that like a 3 when I read it. This is a 5-star book for me, and I really, really love it. And as I just reread it, I kind of want to reread it again. I was afraid I wouldn't love it, but I do honestly think that it is a magical magical thing. Sorry, I was just reading the letter from the author. I also realized that this has very cute unpeppers. Apparently, I never like opened it properly. I did, but I forgot. So what else to say? Like, it's one of my favorite books of all time. It's a cheat. It's here, honestly. But yeah, and that's what I got. I gave it a 5, obviously. Okay. I guess we can talk about some more. I feel like I'm in the rhythm now, so we can let it go. The next one is Blood Air. The light. What is happening here? It is going. Maybe that's a bit better. So, fun fact is that I have Blood Air by Amelia Wanshall. I read a whole trilogy. It's a whole Blood Air trilogy. This one is not the Illumicrate edition, but I have actually. I need to show you now that we are here. I have actually the Illumicrate editions of the second and third book because they went to general sale. So, and I thought at the time that, oh my god, this blood dripping down is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then also obviously on the third one, I had to get that now that I already got this one. And also the prices of Illumicrate at that time then weren't that expensive because everything now has been so expensive. So for me, it felt great. But this one is just like a normal purchase I did. And it was really hyped at the time when it came out. As I said, I have read the whole trilogy. It is for December 2019, Secrets and Schemes. And it did go some criticisms at the time when it was out, which I will talk about, that I remember now. But basically, our main character is a bit of like Anastasia retelling, like a bit, a smidge. She has a kingdom. She has blood magic. Not that I'm saying that Anastasia, the real Anastasia, had blood magic, but she loses a kingdom and she's gonna get it back and everyone thinks she's dead. She goes out on the road with this like thief dude that is like very sassy and people compared him to Hasbreaker. Yeah, she needs to like come into her power because like his blood magic is seen as a curse. And the reason she has lived her life hidden behind palace walls, indeed. And we go out on this journey for her to get back her kingdom, etc. There was this like plot line in here where like one of the children had to like die for her to be more motivated for her kingdom again. And that child was not a white child. And people said that obviously it's not good to kill, well, children for that fact, but also children of color to motivate our, I assumingly white character. I do agree, obviously, but it was like a whole thing. It was drama. It was the times of Twitter when it was totally nutballs over there. I don't know what's going on there anymore. I'm not there anymore. But I do remember, I want to read it still. I don't remember exactly what happened after that. I do believe the author apologized. And then it was like, there was a whole split thing. There was some drama. But I ended up reading apparently the whole trilogy. But I was aware of what had happened. I don't know what that says about me, but you can make judgments as you wish. But I do remember I enjoyed this fine. I thought that like the characters was fine. And the second book was a completely different thing. I was like, what is going on here? And then the third book, I was actually quite bored of the whole thing. Just because I felt like we were building up to this thing and then the thing happened and then the book was over. It's very much like where we have the same plot over 3 books. I feel like it gets dragged out and then it just can conclude in just one place. And then it becomes boring because how else it was going to conclude? But then like there's no excitement, there's no like plot twist, there's like just like we are done this thing now. And I'm just like, okay. That's why I prefer, for example, like Kingdom of Souls as an example, because I have no idea what's going to happen next in that book. I don't even actually in this second remember how it ended because it's been like 5 years. But I know that so many things happen in that you would assume would happen in book 3. And this one does the opposite of that. And like, it's a weird maybe complaint, but I do think that when you not drag out, but have this storyline for a long time, you need to give me more. And I remember, because it's not that long since I read book 3, that I was just like, okay. The third book should be the best, and like where you come with all the things you've been keeping on and like, but then you realize you haven't actually been keeping on anything. There's a whole thing. Also read the other series by the author, the Songs of the Lost Kingdom thingies. It comes here later because it's a little Illumicrate book. We can talk about that later. The point I was going to mention that is that I like that as well, but also the ending there was. We will talk more about it later. But yeah, at the time, what did I rate Blood Air? Because it's been a while. Oh, it's loading for so long. 4 stars. Dang, Sandra. Sandra is in a generous mood. In 2020, Sandra was in a generous mood. Can we still give it 4? I honestly think like it should be a 3 now. Have you changed the rating of anything? I cannot recall a single thing that we have said. We have not changed the rating of anything. So I do believe it would be very unfair if we did it now. Especially since I didn't reread it. If I reread it, maybe I could have been in the servants of being able to change my rating. At the same time, you could think it is beneficial that I read it before. That means that I maybe not always have read it in time that it was actually released. And as trends change and tastes change, that is also a reflective thing to think about for myself and also for the box. Like what kind of books were picked a few years ago and what kind of books are picked now, you know. It's an interesting thing for me. And like what trends are in the market, because like that is also interesting. I cannot believe I gave The Descendant of Ukraine 2 stars. Okay, the next book I already read from before as well, but I need to go and get it because it's in another room. I can bring these books over as well in my pile. So you're asking yourself, maybe you're not, but I am, why is this in the other room? That was because I have put it in my on hold pile because I don't want to own a book anymore. Because I read it. It is The Sisters Grimm by Manuel van Praag, January 2020, The Strength Within. And honestly, it's not that long since I read it, but I really disliked it so much I tried to delete it from my brain. I bought this because it was a stunning book. Look at it. It's absolutely stunning. And it follows these pair of siblings, 4 sisters Grimm, born to different mothers on the same day. Weird. And then there's like this dream-like place. We have like this special boy that can like sense out or project his dreams. And I don't like dream-focused story in general. But it was really weird. It says, in 32 days, the sisters will meet their father in the place they go when they dream. Only when they discover who they truly are and what they can truly do, then they will fight to save their lives and the lives of the ones they love. And I'm just like, the way the story was just like a dreamy thing. We were just dreaming. And we were like counting down to like when we're gonna meet the dad or whatever. And I was just sitting there like, I don't care. I don't particularly even remember why specifically I read this. I think it was for like a Tumbling Panda prompt. And I just did not like it at all. And I'm left with no good memories. So that is why it's in my on hold pile. Did I rate this 1 or did I rate it 2 stars? I might just not have gotten it though. Like, it's totally me, but like, also everything you read, it's up to like your interpretations and knowledges and all that good stuff. When I search for The Sisters Grimm, this does not show up because there's a lot of things called The Sisters Grimm. Can I just see my rating, please? I don't remember what I rated it. I give it a 2. Okay, we can live with this knowledge, guys. That was another one I read before, and I did not particularly enjoy it. And it's not even that long since I read it. Apparently, I read it in January 2024, so that's not long at all. It's like 1 year ago-ish. A bit over a year ago. And I remember not liking it, and that stands true 1 year later. So yeah, it's gonna go in the Illumicrate pile for now, because I'm collecting them all the ones I own, because I don't own all of them, obviously. Then it's going back in an on hold pile, because I don't want it anymore. Love that for me. We can talk about... Oh, I just kicked my computer. We can talk about one more, because we are here, and we are queer, and very happy. And... we have Midnight Lie by Maria Tarski. This is, don't look, because it is the Fearless edition. And I feel like that is a betrayal. It is a betrayal of the vlog. But like, I can't just buy the Illumicrate edition now, after all these years, you know. I mean, I could, but... February 2020, Sparks Fly. I owned this for a long time because I had not yet still read it, even though I owned the Illumicrate edition. And I think I bought it when I was still in Japan, and I sent it to my friend, and it was a whole thing. I also do have the sequel. It's actually right here. But I obviously still have not read that because I read this like 2 days ago. And this is a sapphic romance thing. And then also, I do believe it's set in the world of The Witness Curse, which is the last, like, the trilogy by the author that made her, like, famous. I haven't read that, but I do own the whole trilogy. I haven't read it. So if there's, like... what's it called, Easter eggs or like references in this one, I didn't know about a single one because I haven't read the Winner's Curse trilogy, the Winner's trilogy, whatever that one is called. This one is sapphic, as I said, and then we are in this world where like everything you do is controlled, or like the population that is poor is being controlled and they cannot enter like the rich population, and it's a whole thing. And then our main characters meet in jail for a bit, and then she undercover goes with her to investigate these things, and then they fall before each other, and there's drama, there's secrets in this world that we are fighting against. Am I explaining it very badly? There's no synopsis on the back. I can't like double check the synopsis, but like we are going undercover, and like then we see the difference between obviously the poor people and the rich people. She has a dangerous secret, and together they work together. And then the ending was like, I was just reading it and I was like, what? Because it was a bit smashing ending, a bit exciting. The next book is not that big. So considering how big thing that happened, I'm like, how are we gonna conclude this? Because this is small too. Honestly, sometimes do we need two really, really small books, or could have we had one standalone? You know, that could that should be more normalized. Is what I got to say. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I liked the way it was written. I liked to follow the characters. I thought that the ending was fun. I thought that we had some betrayals. We had some reveals. And I ended up giving it a 3, which I feel like the 3, it doesn't happen so often, because I feel like it's either 4 or everything else. I don't know what I'm trying to say. A 3 is solid. I realize I've given many 3s when I look over my stats, because it's like, I liked it fine, but it wasn't incredible. But it wasn't terrible like a 2, even though some of these 2 should have been 1s. And that's what I'm left with. And we are happy with that. Yay. Okay, it's enough for now. It's enough for now. I will get back to you, hopefully, very soon. Hello. It is another day. It is time to talk about more books for this vlog. Life is very busy and I'm trying to work hard on my thesis and reading is not going as planned. But I'm doing my best. I'm holding on with bare hands. The next one we need to read was Heavenfall by Sarah Holland. This was March 2020 and was for the box Worlds Collide. This one follows a young teen that all her life every summer has gone to Heavenfall, which is this inn. And this inn is placed on our planet on Earth with no magic, but it connects other worlds, and it used to be many different worlds that go there, and then there are like different people from different worlds that go there and have like what's it called, traders and like trades. That is how like the world connects. And then her uncle is the innkeeper and she wants to be the next innkeeper to be there to like keep the peace between worlds, and like she just want to do this. It is up like kind of in the mountains and it's like cold and nice. There someone gets murdered, and then the door to one of like the worlds that has been closed for a really long time is open, where from that world it was only like monsters, or not necessarily only monsters, but the people there were monstrous and like couldn't work with anyone else, so they were like, bye, never see you again, basically. But that door is open now, so she has to investigate of what is going on, and it might be more layers to these people and to this place than she thought. And honestly, it wasn't terrible. Like, I didn't hate it. I read the other Sarah Holland for the Fearless vlog, which was the Averless, where time is currency. I think the concept in that was really interesting, but like the plot itself was a bit meh. I think the plot in this was fine. We meet different characters from different worlds. I like a multiverse. Not multiverse, that is a different thing. What is it called? Like a portal fantasy. That is what I'm trying to say. I always enjoy a kind of story like that. I like the different elements. Our characters were fine. The writing was fine. I like the concept. And like, I was having an okay time with it. I wouldn't say it was like incredible, amazing, oh my god, it blew my pants away. But it was just like, I like the atmosphere a lot. I like the setting. I was really feeling like I was living there, and I really felt our connection that our main character had to this place. So that convinced me enough to enjoy the story, enough to give it a 3 stars, which I feel like it's fine. I would read a sequel because it's only like 2 books, so I could finish a duology. And I had a decent time with it. What else do I say? But like, the plot and the characters itself weren't like amazing, and the motivations for the characters I was like fine, because it's kind of like things in the past that connects with everything. I was just like in a way, but the place hooked me in. The next was Dangerous Remedy by Kat Dunn, April 2020, and Squad Goals is the box. This I had to audiobook because it wasn't available as an ebook. But it was available as an audiobook on Everand, so that saved my ass. Love when I don't need to spend money, okay? This is historical fiction. It is queer, and it's set in the times after the revolution happened in France, which I now like, I don't even know the year on the top of my head, but it's after the revolution, and we follow revolutionists, that was a word, that worked with the revolution, and now like they're doing other things because like there are different factions that want to, you know, return the royal family, and there's other factions that is like working against it, etc. And we have a main character that's finds this girl that has been experimented on, and she has like certain abilities, and now different factions want this girl, but our main characters have her, our group of main characters. In this group we have 2 different people that has left their previous life. One of them is daughter of a revolutionist, and the other one is the daughter of, well, I guess you could say like a noble in a way, that obviously benefited a lot if the aristocracy, I can't say words, came back to power. But she has left that life to be with her girl, and then like they're trying to protect this girl, and then like there's like plots and revolution stuff and stuff going on, set in a very atmospheric time. And I did think that the atmosphere was good in this one as well. I did think the characters were interesting. I like the relationship a lot. It is already an established relationship, which I feel like is not that often you see. And I feel like they communicated well. Like, obviously, they had some misunderstandings and a bit of drama because obviously that's what we need. But ultimately, they trusted each other and were there for each other. And I really, like, I enjoyed seeing that instead of just, like, let's never talk again and stuff. And, like, the plot, though, again, I wasn't, like, super into it. I wouldn't say that historical fantasy is my favorite fantasy, but I also feel like I haven't read enough of it to really say. Because, like, it depends a lot on historical context, I think. Because, obviously, a lot of fantasy is historical in the way that it's set in old days, blah 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 blah. That is inspired by like medieval times in a way that are in a way historical fantasy. But this is more like another kind of history where we set a story. And it was like really vaguely fantasy because we have this girl with her powers, but other than that, it was more like actual history. So I was just like, But that doesn't mean like I hated it or anything like that. I liked the relationship. I wanted to follow the story, see where we'll go. And I gave this 3 as well, which I feel like, honestly, that's a dub, if that's what you say. I don't know how to speak, apparently. It was fine. I had a good time. Better time than what's coming. The next one is The Girl and the Stars by Mark Lawrence. I borrowed it at like a distant library again because it wasn't available anywhere. And then literally after getting the copy, here it is. I saw it was on Everand and I don't remember if I just like never checked Everand because I felt a bit silly because I could have just read it there all along instead of like making them send this to me. But I have it. And now I can return it today, so that would be great. So it's great that I'm filming this clip finally. But The Girl and the Stars is set in the same world as Red Sister, Book of the Ancestor, which I know a lot of people enjoy. I read 1 and 2 in that series and I didn't really like them. And now I read this, and it's like an icy world. We have a main character that needs to leave her place where she's always been safe or forced to leave. They're going on this journey. She meets people. Only when it's darkness you can see the stars. Honestly, I wasn't engaged in the story at all. I didn't really enjoy it. I do believe I need to give on this author for myself because I have now read, this is the 4th like series. I haven't completed all of them, but I completed 2 series by the author. I almost completed Red Sister because there's only 1 book I need to read. And I started this and I haven't liked a single one of all of those things. Oh wait, I read another series. I read the book that wouldn't burn out as well. I forgot it because I don't own it. I borrowed it. I literally read all of those books and I literally have not enjoyed almost any of them. So I just need to stop and realize that this author is not for me. He writes in a way that I just find myself not really falling into the story, not really caring for anything. Don't really like the characters. I don't think that I'm just engaged with anything, honestly. They are the kind of fantasy I feel like I would enjoy, but apparently I don't enjoy them. Maybe if I read them in a different way, maybe if I audiobooked or if I read it with someone else, I would feel like a different experience, maybe. But honestly, I just cannot deal and I just don't have a good time. So I don't think the author is for me and I did not enjoy this. I just was bored and I didn't care and it was just like the main character was just like, ugh. Don't know if I'm supposed to have read this after finishing Book of the Ancestor, but that didn't happen because I just didn't care enough to do that. And I feel like there was things here that I could enjoy, but ultimately I just didn't. So yeah, I gave it a 2 because I didn't hate it. I just like, it's not for me. Now we have The Court of Miracles by Kester Grant, which is obviously for June 2020. The other one was obviously May 2020, which is In the Shadows. This one is also a book set under or like after, not maybe the French Revolution, maybe this is later. The numbers of like years of history right now is just totally failing me, and don't judge me and don't bother Googling. But we are in 1828 in Paris. The French Revolution has failed and the city is divided between mercenaries of royalty and 9 underworld criminal guilds. I do wonder like if this is just like historical like turnaround, but the point is that we are still in France. We are about revolution as we were in the other one, and this is just like 1 book later. And I thought that was interesting. We have this girl that joins this guild and then she's really just trying to find her sister, but it's hard because she belongs now to another guild. And then we're just doing all these things to save her sister and like doing this plot. This one I struggle a lot with as well. I didn't really enjoy myself. I just couldn't get into the story. I feel like the atmosphere that I enjoyed, for example, in Dangerous Remedy, I didn't feel it as much in this one. She's a thief. She's trying to keep her safe. And then we meet different characters and there's plots. And I'm just like, I didn't care. And I just didn't feel much for this at all, honestly. So I ended up giving it a 2. And it just didn't fall for me. Maybe the other one was queer and that's what got me. And the other one was also on audio. So that's also a different experience. But ultimately, this one was not for me either. I was quite bored and didn't care for anything. The next one is Seven Devils, which is July 2020 by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb. And I actually already started this, but I only read half. This is a sci-fi. We are going on this mission. There's ships, there's cool stuff happening. It is fine so far, but I will leave judgment until I finish it, which shall be in my next update. Yay, see you then. Hello. It has been a minute. I've been sick. Life has been very hard. I've been very busy. But I'm here for a little update, or big update, whatever you want to say, of a lot of next up books. There was a lot of them I read before, but I don't think I'm going to talk about all of them now anyway. Last time you saw me, I was reading Seven Devils by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb. It was a fine book. I don't think it particularly stuck in my mind, and I don't think it was particularly bad or particularly good. We have kind of this princess. She's an heir to the whole empire. I don't think she's dead. And then she's not so dead after all. And then they try to stop like corruption, etc. in like this empire. And they are like eventually 7 people, which is why it's called Seven Devils. They basically go out to stop that corruption in empire. I don't think the story itself that engaged. I don't think the character stood out that much for me to like truly care. But I didn't think it was terrible either. I ended up giving it a 3. I feel like I've been very kind mostly for these ratings. But again, I think also this is an important part that the UK cover, it's much nicer than the US cover. The US cover looks like a shitty YA, while the US cover looks a bit more like, I was going to say like an adult kind of sci-fi. I actually don't know in this second if it falls in a YA or adult because I can't see it on my phone. But it was totally fine, but it was honestly not the worst because I read worse, believe me. If I were to read a sequel, maybe. I just feel like it struggled with me caring for the characters while like the world itself was fine. But yeah. Either way, we don't have that good time. I mean, we do have good time, but we don't want this video to last for 3 years, so we might as well just move on. The next up was a book I read before, which was The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. I actually read this twice, and I have the Goldsboro edition with the blacksmith edges. This is actually one of my favorite books. I read it first time for Facing Gaze, and then I reread it for Facing Gaze readathon last year, was it? This one is a sci-fi, and in this world they can travel to parallel universes, but to travel to parallel universes, you need to be dead in the universe you go to. So there is a certain group of people, underprivileged and people of color, etc., that have a more likely chance and higher percent of dying in other worlds because odds are stacked against them, which is super, super, super sad and depressing and very much reflective of the world we live in. But they have a higher chance of dying because, for example, they are more poor and etc. and are in situations in society where if something happens, they are less likely to get help, etc. And that is why our main character is such a perfect candidate to be in this party, to travel to different worlds where they collect information, etc., of like the parallel universes. She also has a abusive ex, you could say, and then there's like, you need to get to know different worlds, but then also there's like twisted stuff happening with this as well. It is very depressing, but very, very reflective of our world. I think it's done so incredibly well. It's written so well as well. It has amazing like writing and reflections, and I thought like the concept itself was really, really cool. I really, really, really love it, and this is a 5-star book for me. So yeah, but again, this is one I read before as well, so that is a bit, it's not a cheat though, because I do think like if I read it now for like to read now for this vlog, I would have loved it. It just falls into a lot of categories and manages to carry itself so well that it would have been amazing anyway. By cheating, I just mean like I feel like all the ones I loved is the ones that I didn't actually read in this vlog. I'm just waiting for a really, really good one to knock my sock off. Okay. 5 out of 5 for this one. Love it. Then we have another one I read before, which is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I actually have the Illumicrate edition, which seems very random, but I bought this off someone on Facebook, and I bought it pretty cheap as well. It was because it lost a lot of value at the time because it had some racist passages in it that's now since has been removed. This I was quite hyped for as well before I knew about the racist passages, which the author has apologized for, etc. You are, of course, I just wanted to bring it up still because it's important to think about stuff that has happened anyway. But I was hyped for it because it was a dark academia. It was very much in like I was going to say the more, not early days because it's always been Dark Academia, but in the early days where Dark Academia became really popular, now it's just like a billion of them. And this one is set in this school where everything in the school tries to kill them, and then they just need to survive until graduation. And then we are there trying to survive. That is the plot of the book. And I remember being hyped for it because I read Temporary by the author and I really enjoyed that one. Even though it's a 9-book series and I need to reread to complete that series. We should do that at a point. I just remembered. And this is a trilogy. I actually own the rest of the series as well. I just never finished it. But I did not really love it. I remember being very annoyed because I was so high for it. I thought I would love it. And then it was just, they were just going into school and then not getting killed, and I felt like a lot of it didn't make sense. And then I was bored because I don't remember exactly, because obviously it is a bit of a while since I read it, but I just remember being very frustrated because I just felt like it wasn't plot, and I just there was this thing between these two characters, and I felt like it came out of nowhere, or it was more about that and their relationship than anything else. And I just didn't understand why is a school like this? It seems silly to just kill your students, but okay. But I guess that's part of their, I was gonna say, training and all that. But yeah, I remember being disappointed in it, and that is one of the reasons I didn't continue. I am planning to, since obviously I own 2 and 3, and I had to buy them early so that I got them all in the UK hardcovers since they go out of print. And I also have the Illumicrate edition for some reason, and I've been trying to get rid of that, but no one wants it. What else to say? I just kind of ended up not enjoying it as much even at the time, and I ended up giving it a 3, which is fine because I do think it was a well-written book. I just felt disappointed in how it all came together because I was bored. Now, the next one I have the Illumicrate edition of as well, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This is also very random because I just reread this in December or January. I don't even remember what month. I do believe it was December. And I just reread A Star to Sea as well, which is they were both in this vlog, which is not planned at all. It just kind of happened, and I think it's a bit funny. At the time, I didn't have an Illumicrate subscription. I do remember. I was desperate to get this because I bought all the special editions of Addie LaRue that I still have. And then Illumicrate did this, and they said that was the book of the month. I messaged them to get on the wait list, but honestly, I only wanted this one. And then I remember they gave me a link to certain people that wanted this book, where you can literally just purchase this. You didn't need to subscribe. That was the times. And then I got the book that I wanted, which was this one. And obviously I had to bring out the actual Illumicrate edition for this clip. I really hope that this is the actual Illumicrate edition because I have 14 or 12 editions of Addie LaRue and I get a bit confused sometimes. But I am pretty sure I remember still what is what. Yes, it is. I had to double check. So, Addie LaRue is a really easy book to pitch and say what it's about. It follows Addie LaRue, who makes a deal with the devil that she gets to live forever, but everyone she meets forget who she is. And then one day, 300 years later, she meets a boy that remembers her name. And then we basically are set in present time where she meets this boy and that plays out and that he remembers her and that has never happened and she's very shocked and very happy because that's all she ever wanted after 300 years. And then we also have flashbacks of between those scenes of how she has gone about the last 300 years and then what she's been doing and different interactions and stuff and how this curse works. It's very, very interesting curse. I think it's done very, very well. I think it's a very interesting curse to think about, while at the same time you do get a lot as well because you do get to live forever and you get to imprint a bit in the world in a way you can, but then at the same time it is super depressive and sad because you're sad and alone the whole time, except there is one dude that remembers her, which is Luke, which is basically the devil. I do believe that I actually really enjoy this book. I do think also I need to say that it is very white and privileged and focused a lot on white things and privileged things. You have 300 years of history, but you don't really go into any history that all the things that happens up in history, all the oppressed people and all that. You don't talk about that. You only talk about Addie and her life. And it is a very white and privileged perspective of the story. And I'm not saying that this makes the story bad. It's just a thing to be aware of. Is aware that this is a sheltered perspective of the world, especially when you live for that long. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the book is bad. The book is a lot about living and finding the joy to live again, and then also just the tricky plans of the devil. I played a lot of Genshin when we listen to this on audio now, because the first time I read it physically, so now I have very specific Genshin images in my head when I think about this book. But either way, I really liked it. I really like how there's certain plot twists of what is going on. I like how Addie is as a character, I guess, even though she's very much a pick-me girl and it's very annoying. But it is just, I do think like how the curse is presented, how the book is written, I do think it has many, many beautiful sentences and words. And I ended up really loving it this time. The first time I read it, I gave it a very strong 4, rounding it like to 4.5, but I didn't give it a 5. But this time I did. It is still a 4.5. I would say, I wouldn't say it's a full 5 stars, but it's more like 4.75. But I do know the criticism of the book that it has. I do know what is happening with light about it. It doesn't mean that I'm not aware, but I can still enjoy the book what it is. It's a solid one still after all these years. I was scared I wouldn't love it as much the second time I read it, but I do. It's not my favorite Schwab. People think it's my favorite Schwab because I own 14 copies. I get it. It's a bit confusing. My favorite Schwab is Vicious, if you were curious, because I love that book a lot. Let's see. What is the next one? Oh no, I need to actually get this one because I was a bit lazy and just sat down. Because I have so many books I need to talk about in one clip. I just like procrastinate it. Because I know it's going to take so long. And then like if I read one, there's like maybe like 4 I need to talk about because I read so much of the upcoming ones. So while procrastinating and while being sick, which is why my voice is a bit weird, I have read 2 more. I read Once the Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. This I own for actually a couple of years now. I had it on my shelves. I heard incredible things about it. I read other Alex E. Harrow. I read the short story one, the like Sleeping Beauty retelling or whatever. I love that one a lot. I haven't read the sequel yet, but I do own it, I think. I own it. I don't remember. But this one... This one is like witches, it's like feminist. We are in 1893, there's like witch hunting stuff. We have sisters, or like a coven, and then they call each other sisters. I'm trying to like see what the synopsis actually says. If the modern woman wants any measure of power, she must find it in a ballot box. Things starts happening. I would say that I didn't love this. I thought I would love it. I've been hearing amazing things about it for years. It's a reason I own it. I just couldn't fall in love with the story. I thought obviously I would. I am very disappointed, okay? So we just have witches. We are in like an historical period that apparently I did not care that much for. Witches are being hunted. And then I just couldn't fall into the story. I didn't care for a single character. I didn't care for a single thing that was happening. I did not care for the story. I was just sitting here like, are we gonna get to anything exciting? It was very long. It was not just, it just wasn't working for me. The writing, the characters, the setting, the whatever plot we had. Sometimes with certain stories that is focused on like this kind of like, I was gonna say women's rights. Obviously, I'm a woman myself. I want to fight for women's rights. I am completely agreeing with what they're doing, but I just don't find it often in the setting that this is set. It depends a lot. Like if it's real events, it's very different. But obviously, it was also based on real events, so you can argue that. But I just felt like I struggle sometimes caring about those books if they are very like preachy. Those kinds of books in the book world. In real life, it's very different, and I didn't feel like it never came to the point where it annoyed me that much, but I was still like thinking of it. And then like it just ruined my whole experience. So I wasn't enjoying myself. I didn't care for the story. And I ended up giving it a 2. I am as shocked as you because I honestly thought that this could be a 5-star read or something because I heard so many things about it. But here we are, and I have not given it 5 stars. I gave it a 2-star. I am debating just on holding it. Because why would I keep it now? That happened. And I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's like breaking up with my girlfriend that I had for so long. And then like I held onto it and it turned out to not be worth it. Okay, I think we can talk about one more before ending this specific clip, even though I finally sat down to film. I've also been sick and procrastinating everything. The next one I have is The Ravens, or Ravnene, by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. I randomly have a Norwegian hardcover of this book, but I didn't read it in Norwegian. I actually just borrowed it in Libby and read it in English, because that felt weird. It is an arc that I got from the store, and I saw it was Cass Morgan who wrote it when I started in the store, and then I took a copy because it was just there. That is the author of The 100, which was that CBW series, which I really love, but I only watched 2 seasons. And I should complete that whenever I get time. So I wanted to read it because of that, and then I got this. I am definitely unhauling it now. Why would I own a Norwegian copy of a book that I would anyway read in English? Like, I was never gonna actually read this, or if I was ever gonna reread it or whatever. I just thought at the time it didn't matter. But I didn't also kind of hate the book, so... Not hate it. Okay, that was a bit dramatic. I'm giving this also... Was it a 2? Was it a 2? I need to double check what I did. No. I'm giving it a 1 because that's what it deserves. Honestly, if I gave it a 2, I am not here in this vlog. There's like, we go to school, uni, whatever. There's like society. What's it called? Society. Sororities. That is the word I wanted. One of them has power. I'm just reading synopsis because like, I don't know. They are witches. So I had 2 witch books in a row. That was bad. That was not great for me, okay? I was just like, I was kept like reading. I was just like, am I just reading the same boring book twice? But yeah, we have the sororities. There's just drama and I didn't care. And I just felt like I was like reading a really bad, like shitty TV show with sororities that like, I would rather watch that on TV, and it wasn't even fun with the witch part, and I just didn't care for a single thing. This was worse than the last one. The last one had some like parts where I could see it trying to reach me and I was just not listening. But this one just like, it was just like a really, really, really bad teenage movie, and I didn't want to be a part of that, and it was just not good, and I did not have a good time. I want to forget I read it. To be honest, I have already forgotten I read it. Okay, so I have, as you might tell, read more. The upcoming ones that I can see on my list. The next upcoming ones, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 next ones, I have read before actually starting this vlog. So that is why like it was felt overwhelming to me to start filming, and then I have read some of them, etc. So we shall see each other very soon, I think, and then I'm gonna go and eat because I'm apparently starving. See you then. See you later. Hello. So I sat here vibing, filming a little video. So I thought that I need to update you as well with a couple of the next reads that I actually made ready this time. So the next up, we are in, where are we even? I don't know, have I said? I hope so. We are in January 2021. Wow, that's not even that long ago. Rebellious Royals. And we had to read Winter's Orbit by Aberina Maxwell, but luckily for me, I read this before. I don't even remember when, but it is a couple of years ago, I do believe, and I did not enjoy this one. So I can say that first. We have these 2 dudes that need to get married. We are like in a sci-fi place, and then they need to marry for an alliance, and then people want to stop this alliance. Yeah, one magical light up an empire, and then together they need to fight whatever they're fighting. I found it very disappointing because I was super hyped. I was just like, oh my god, arranged marriage, oh my god, gay, oh my god, sci-fi. But then I read it and then I was really disappointed. Like the way it was just so boring, and I didn't really care for the characters. I remember like I didn't feel like the world was fleshed out. I didn't really like the writing. I was just bored, and I saw so many people love this and I just couldn't fall into the story. I remember being so disappointed, and that is the memories I'm left with it to this day. So yeah, it is actually my on hold pie because I don't see a reason to keep this when I didn't enjoy it, and hope someone else can enjoy it. I feel like it's like maybe a me thing, but I also seen like some people agreeing, but I know a lot of people really love this. I just didn't. I did write it up as a 2-star, which does seem correct. Yeah, I was very high for it, I swear, but it let me down when I read it. So that is how I feel. I wanted to, if I want to get into more detail, obviously I don't remember all the details right now, but I just remember being super bored, and just like the way I wanted, it hyped up this relationship, and I just felt like it came out of nowhere and didn't have a nice build up. So that's why I feel like I was extra disappointed. Okay, so then we have the next one, which I read with Face and Gaze, which was my queer book club. And we read A Dark and Whole Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. This has become like a bit of a meme now, where it's like one of the worst books we read, together with Master of One, which was in the favorite vlog, I believe. It is 4 POVs. You have like Faye, one of them is like an Asian warrior that has returned. It's just basically like a Scooby-Doo plot as well. And I do believe that this story has some really good ideas and it's very queer, so I love that part of the story. But just the plot and the characters and the way they act and the way it played out, it was like actually hilarious. And we rewrote this so much in live, so I feel almost bad. But overall, it was just not good. I just couldn't get behind it. I feel bad because I do believe like people like it, and like it is a like maybe look more of a queer fun story, and I wanted to like it, and I could see maybe I took it a bit too seriously. But the way it just didn't match for me at all. It was just not not well done in my opinion, and I just couldn't get behind the characters and decisions. And yeah, right now obviously can't remember every single detail, but I am jokingly saying that I should reread it for fancies. And also I know it's more books in series, and I don't like to unhaul before I read everything in case it gets better. Even if I read the rest, I don't see myself changing my mind. So I did give this, I need to have given this a 1 star, because honestly, I mean, I've written it up as a 1. If I give it officially a 1 on like Goodreads, I don't remember right now, but like that would have only been because like I tend to not give out 1 stars. But honestly, Sandra, I need to go and check it out. I gave it a 2 on Goodreads, but you know what? Right after I probably changed my mind, so I'm standing with my 1 on this one, because I don't remember what I thought was the redeeming quality in this. I'm sorry. I am sorry. But I'm glad I didn't have to read it now for this vlog, because I do believe I would have felt slayed by it then. My reading has not been going well lately, and I blame this vlog. We then have the first book in the Sapphic Trifecta. So we had Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. This I own and have read before this vlog existed. And I do believe, if I remember correctly off the plot, we have a main character, Terrain, looking at the name on the back. And she was raised to be a soldier for like the country, the empire, the whatever. Then like took her away from her childhood place. Like she was raised like kind of as an enemy towards where she comes from. Or am I completely incorrect? Yes, because it says stolen as a child, raised to kill and die for the empire, but now she has been sent back to her own mother to stop the rebellion. And then we have Luca, who is like the princess, or like she wants to win back her throne. And then they meet, and then obviously they do get together. I was very, very hyped for this because it was in Sapphic Trifecta, and I do believe it was well written. I do remember also being a bit disappointed in it, but that was more because of like I didn't like the way their relationship built. It was just very like forced in, for my opinion, and I found the politics and everything not that well explained to me at the time. Maybe I would do better with it now. That like I was a bit confused of like what did these characters really want. I remember like being confused, I guess, of motivations, and then like to get like an overview of what was really going on. But I wanted to like it more. I think like I was forcing myself to really, really enjoy it. But I did give it a 3, and I felt super bad about it. I do stand by that 3 now though. I feel like that's okay, fine rating considering other things here. And I have the sequel. And I don't remember if it's supposed to be a duology or a trilogy, but I have the sequel, and I have been excited to check it out, because I do believe now that we laid the groundworks for all of the things, I will enjoy that more. Maybe I should reread on audio or something to like get the full, like maybe I will enjoy it more upon reread, because I do really I like the author, and I do want to enjoy this more than I did, but I just felt like the pieces weren't exactly 100% clicking for me. And I remember being a bit frustrated and like a bit disappointed. But yeah, I ended up on a 3 for this. I love this part of the video where I like read so many books from before. I was clearly on the top of anticipated releases, but also it's been a few years. So yeah. Oh my god, I forgot to say like the month we are in for like every book. But obviously I would have put it on the screen. But we are now on the next one, which was April 2021. And this was another pick for my club Facing Gaze, which is like Illumicrate is great with queer picks, because everything has been queer for like many books in a row. I love that. So we are in The Web in the Dark by A.M. Strickland. I remember being very, very, very high for this before it was released as well. And again, a bit disappointed. This was like pitched as like vampires-ish with Polly and like other rap in it, and I was very excited for it. We have a main character that's hidden her magic all her life, and then it's found out that she has this magic, and then she needs to go and work in a royal palace. There is like I found the underlining of a plot in here that we talked about a lot about in Facing Gaze, but that's besides the point. But we go to this palace, there's stuff going on, there's different characters, there's a poly relationship blooming, and I remember feeling that was way too forced in a way that like we are liking each other now, so we can be in a poly relationship, done, dot, and we were just like, oh, okay. And I did feel like the pieces and like everything didn't come out well together. It felt very rushed as well, considering that it is a standalone, it's not in the series. It just like, it was a lot of elements that they had. It was really cool, but we didn't have time to explore anything. I would gladly had more pages in the story, or like another book or anything, because I do believe like, again, the ideas was good, but then it just didn't all got pieced together in a way that was super enjoyable. But there was some ace rap, there was so many different raps in this. And I do believe like parts of the story was okay, but I ended up like not loving it. And I do believe I gave it a 3. What have I written down in my spreadsheet? I did give it a 3, yes. So not the worst, and I clearly could see like what the author wanted, but still not like, oh my god. But yeah, so that is another one that I already read, and I love that for me. Then we have the second book in the Sapphic Trifecta, which was May 2021, which is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. So again, you guessed it, I read this before. I own it. I even read the sequel, but I haven't read the third book that came out last year. But I do own it, and it's on like 25 and 25, so I should read it in 2025. This is more like Indian myths and legends. And then we have a main character who's like part of the oppressed people. And then she works as a handmaiden for the princess, and then they want to help her like take her throne back. I just realized that is very similar to The Broken when I explained it like that. And then they fall for each other. There's also like this magical like virus thingy that goes around, and there's all the like cool magic and stuff in the world. I found this very enjoyable. I remember really liking the way it's written, the way we built the world. I really like the characters. And the second one, as I read, it's super dramatic because obviously it hangs like on a cliffhanger, and you're just like, how is this relationship gonna go? How is this everything gonna go in the second one? And then the second one just starts right in there, and it just like carves our heart out for us caring about this relationship. So I found it super enjoyable. I've been wanting to read also the other books by the author, so I should really do that. And I remember being invested and enjoying it a lot. So I as I said, read the second one, and I do want to just jump into the third. I don't feel like I need to reread. Also, I just realized I put The Faithless, which is the sequel to Unbroken, on 25 and 25 as well, so I should read them both. But yeah, enjoyed it a lot. Would recommend. Yeah, I gave this a 4. So many ones I read in a row. 5 in a row from before. I love that. Okay, so we are taking another break because my voice is dying and I'm hungry. And we should see each other very soon for another update. Yay. Okay, so let's talk about a few more books. Yes, my hair is shorter. You're not seeing things from last time I talked to you, so that you didn't think that it is in your head. It's not. So next up, we had June 2021. We had The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. This is, as you can see, the actual Illumicrate edition. I don't remember exactly why I subscribed to Illumicrate like at this time, but since this book, I have been a Illumicrate subscriber. I don't remember, was I on the waitlist? Was it a waitlist back then? What decision did I make to sign up to Illumicrate at this time? I don't remember. I feel like maybe I wanted the next book, the July one, and then I signed up the month before because that's like, I thought I was smarter or something. I don't even recall, but I have had a subscription with Illumicrate since then. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in this video because it's been so long at this point, but like Illumicrate gives you 10 skips in a row before they eventually maybe cancel your subscription. And it's like the best skip system I think of any subscription box. So I don't have every single book upcoming because I skipped a lot unless like I was particularly interested in them, but I do have a lot of upcoming as well because it lets me like pick and choose a bit of like what I want, which I like. But I do remember this as like my first Illumicrate book, monthly one. Obviously I had like other special editions. It has a unique place in my heart. I have not read it before. I read it for this vlog, finally. It is apparently a standalone because I need to look at the synopsis of like how the book is described. But it's like a fantasy debut steeped in Hungarian history and Jewish mythology. And it's like for Novik and Katrin Arden fan. Really noticed the Katrin Arden aspect of the story because it did remind me slightly of The Girl in the Nightingale, which I didn't enjoy that much. But I enjoyed this more, I think. We are in a forest. We are like, we don't have power, but like all the other women has power. And then they're going out on this journey, this woodsman. And then like they maybe fall for each other, etc. I found it like a nice like adventure thing. I did like the atmosphere. I thought it was really well written. I didn't think like the plot was like incredible, but I feel like it felt like a woven tale. And it was enjoyable in that regard. I'm now sitting here like, do I want to keep it? I'm very unsure actually, but it's not like a bad book. I enjoyed it, thought I would like it more, and I think like the mood that this book is set in is like a mood that I really enjoyed before. And I'm not saying I dislike it now, but my reading has felt really weird lately in general, like I don't know, the past few months. So I feel like I'm just not into things as I used to be. I feel like I hate it for myself. So maybe if I read this at a different time, maybe in the future, etc., I would have loved it, but now I just felt totally fine with it. It was like a nice tale, it was atmospheric, I enjoyed it fine, so I'm giving it a 3-star. Then the one I do believe the reason I subscribed in the first place was because I was completely in love with the cover of Shio Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. I did actually fall in love with the US cover, which I also do have, but I also have 2 editions of the UK cover because I completely and utterly love this book, and it's also the last in the Sapphic Trifecta. And this one is the Illumicrate edition, and it's like one of my favorite because like it has like dark orange and then yellow and then like it meets in the middle, and I'm very happy I have this. I also obviously bought the sequel in the same, and I don't know, it's just like the editions gets more and more fancier as we know, but I really like this one, especially just with address. And it is one of my favorite books. So again, here we are. I had obviously read this before. I read it twice? Or is it, yes, I have read it twice. I didn't just dream that. It is not a Mulan retelling, but it was a picture like that for a little while. It's a retelling of like a great dynasty in China. And then we have our main character whose brother had like a really, really great destiny, and then he dies and she takes his name, and like she is dressed up as a man because that's how she gets rights. She's like raised in this monastery, and then she needs to take her great destiny, and it is like all these moving pieces in this empire. We have different people, 100 different people, there's a war, there is magic. It's truly like a story about greatness. I think the way that this is written, the way it was set, the way it developed my heart. I want to reread it right now. The second book was also really, 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 really good. I feel like it's written in a way that makes you want to reread it again, because it is I don't know how to explain it because I don't want to put people off it, but like it's not like it's complicated writing, but it can be a bit obscure in a way. I just feel like it's really, really well done. And some like events in the second book was totally not balls. I'm just thinking about it now. And there is a fisting scene, if you needed to know. There's so many dramatics and good parts and plotting. And honestly, I love it so much. I was really scared I wouldn't love it initially when it came out, like July 2021. But I loved it still. I have like all these copies I'm going to keep. And I'm very, very happy I have this. So obviously it is actually a 5-star. But now talking about it, I really, really want to reread and like discover the story all over again. It's been a couple of years. It was amazing. What a pretty edition. It looks so good too. Then we have The Devil Makes Three by Tori Bovalino, which I just read for this vlog, obviously. And it is like a dark academia, fantasy, demonic library story. We follow these 2 characters. One of them works in the library and the other one is like, it's a professor. I was pretty confused because he seemed like he worked there, but then he was like super young, and I'm like, are you a professor when you're that young? Either way, and they both had like troubled past, and their paths crosses, and they start doing stuff in this library. They discover maybe a demon there and other moving things, and then they need to work together. It is kind of a love story between them, but also like at first they're a bit annoyed at each other, and it's set in this like mostly like library bookish place. I enjoyed the story fine. I was actually very, very into it in the beginning of the chapters. I thought that I was like, oh my god, we have like these engaging characters. I like how they are like interacting with each other. I like them, etc. But then I just kind of lost interest after a while. I just felt like it didn't merge together as much as I wanted to. I wasn't invested in the plot, even though I did find the characters engaging enough to begin with. But it's not like it was a bad book or anything. I do remember skipping this like when it came up as like the Illumicrate pick, because I was just like, what is this? And it's like one I am fine with skipping with to this day. That's gonna be like my review for every did I regret skipping or not, because apparently from this day on I had a subscription. But like it was fine. I gave it like the box is literally called Dark Academia, which is truly what it was. I gave it like a 3. I feel like a 2 is like very strict, because I don't think I disliked it that much, even though I feel like I've been nice in general with ratings overall in this video. But I didn't love it either. It was like totally okay. The way it was set and like the atmosphere and the writing was fine. I just like wasn't invested enough to truly love it as we went on in the story. I had to move to get one book that I'd forgotten. But next up we had a brick of a book which I have spent over a week reading, really because I'm not in a slump. I just like, I'm not in the mood for the things I'm reading. Not that I'm a mood reader either, so that's why I just pull through. But also I've been working really hard on my thesis. So because of that, I just used ages on this. But also it is a brick of a book, and that is Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. I actually borrowed this in the library because it wasn't available like as in the library. Libby, but then I realized it was on Avran all along. I don't know how I missed it. So I read it in Avran, so I didn't technically need this, but then I already had it, so I thought I could hold it off for this video, and then I'm gonna actually go to the library today so I can return it. This copy is about to fall apart, but it is like literally 700 pages, and initially I wanted this book a lot, but then the author pissed me off a bit, and then I just didn't want it anymore. I actually like cancelled 2 of my special editions, etc. So I never owned it, and then I wasn't really interested in reading it, but then I realized that since I'm doing this vlog, I had to read it eventually. And then I was like, I enjoyed Nevernight, you know. I gave Nevernight 4 stars. I enjoyed the second and third book in that series. I have all of those books. I didn't like Illuminate that much, but that is also co-authored by someone else, so there's that. So I was curious about Empire of the Vampire. I know a lot of people have enjoyed it. I just like didn't want to read it, but here I have read it, and it is vampires, and I love vampires. I'm writing a whole thesis about vampires and werewolves, so I was still interested in the story, and I did go into it hoping I would enjoy parts of it, because like even all those old elements, I still wanted to give it a try, obviously, because that's what I'm doing for this vlog. But I just couldn't get into it. I enjoyed Nevernight when it was released at its time, because then I hadn't read as much, I think, and then like it was released in a different time. This was obviously released now a little while ago, but like since I'm reading it now with the taste I have now, I couldn't get into the way that J. Kristoff writes this. It's just very like show-offy, flowery writing that annoyed me a lot. Like I'm just like, just say what you want to say. I don't need you to write it in this way. And I just felt like I was annoyed, because I was just like, can we just get moving? It was also so long, and that's saying for someone who loves a big fantasy and a person who reads fast. So like in theory, a long book shouldn't matter, but I just felt like we were just going nowhere with the story. I felt like I haven't even told you what it's about. It is just basically about this vampire dude that is gonna tell you about his life. So he goes back all the way to childhood, and then he's like up for execution. So like we're going back to like, because they want like a whole record of his life, so he's going back and like telling him about how he grew up, vampire stuff and warrior stuff and things he's been through, and he's very cool and powerful. And yeah, that is basically the story. The part I like about it was that it was like the typical vampire story. But what is a typical vampire story anyway? When I have, you know, been going into a lot of vampire stuff lately, I realized that like literally what is a typical vampire story. But it just couldn't give me anything that I liked. Like I didn't really particularly care for the story either, because it just like lost me in the waves of words I was gonna say. It wasn't for me. I just felt like, I don't know how to say it, like it felt like an old man groveling in my ear, and I just was like, I don't care. So I gave it a 1 star. I feel like that is very harsh, considering like some stuff here. Why did I get that 1 star? But like there were some redeemable qualities about that. This is a lot about my enjoyment of the story, and I was not enjoying myself. I was bored. I was so bored throughout the whole thing, and like why would I rate something higher just because like I like vampires, even though like it didn't even give anything I wanted. I was bored and I was not interested or invested, and I'm sorry. I did really try, and I wanted to get invested, but I was just, every page I was reading felt like a chore. I'm a person who always reads sequels, but I will avoid that sequel as much as I can for the rest of my life. And if it shows up in a challenge, I would just scream. But at least I didn't buy it, you know? I feel like maybe if I read it a couple of years ago, like around Nevernight, but then it wasn't existing, I would maybe have gotten more into it. But at this point I was like, I don't care. At least I can return that book in the library today. That's good. Okay, so we only have one more to talk about, because I'm currently reading the next one after that, and that is Iron Widow, which I was super excited for. And then I got the Illumicrate edition, which had these like, that is it. That was what you got. Oh, I still have my sample plate inside. And we got some art, and that was like the edition. And then I got one that was upside down, because I didn't read it at once, I didn't notice. And then we read it for Facing Gaze, and I saw that it was upside down. So I have 2 actually. One that is upside down. And then recently, as in like December, Heavenly Tyrant came out, which is the sequel. They also released with it Iron Widow. You could choose to only buy Heavenly Tyrant, but I wanted both, because this is gorgeous. It's much more gorgeous. It's the same cover, but it has different arts and different styles. And I got this one as well. So now I have 2 Illumicrate editions. but also of Heavenly Tyrant, which is also important. I haven't read that yet. I am planning to reread Iron Widow very soon. I have like, I'm on waitlist in the library, and it says it's like coming in 3 weeks. So like, even when this vlog might probably still going, I'm gonna reread it, but not at this point when I'm talking about it here. I only read it once, but it was absolutely incredible. It starts off with kind of a maybe basic concept, you can say, but we have a main character who wants revenge for her sister's death. Women in this world are used to like battery these like mecha machines for men, and then her sister was used as this and she died, and she's volunteering to do this as well so that she can kill the one who killed her sister and then like just go down in a blaze of glory. And then it goes places you don't really see after this. It was nutballs. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I was quite shocked that like it kind of diverged from like a lot of tropes and stuff you see and like did its own thing while at the same time keeping to the tropes. I really enjoyed that. It is a poly romance as well, and then the plot was in the end was insane. The reason I want to reread before I pick up the next one is because I would just want the full experience, and I've been so excited for Heavenly Tyrant. It is an incredible book. I honestly loved it. I don't remember at the time. I feel like I never gave it a rating because I just like didn't know. I was so between 4 and 5 and I couldn't decide. But at this point I just might as well give it 5 because it was incredible. And then when I reread it now, is it going to be a 4 or 5? I don't know. But I'm very excited to read the sequel after that and would very much recommend. It is as good as people say, honestly. So I forget to say these months all the time, but we are now, that was October 2021. But I know I will put them on the screen. And now we are in November 2021. I did not skip this one. I do have the book. I have it in another like part of the house. I didn't bother getting it, but I took off the jacket to read it. So I remember not skipping because Margaret Owen is the author of The Merciful Crow, and I really enjoyed that. So I wanted to check out this book by the author. I'm like halfway through it. I'm enjoying it okay. So I'll talk more about when I finished it. But that was the next one. And then we are almost caught up with updates. Obviously, I read some more as we go down the list, and also on the bottom with like audios to like meet in the middle a bit. We don't actually have that many left to read, but a lot still to talk about since a lot of them I read from before this vlog. But yeah, that was it for this update. You just see me soon. Hello! I have been reflective and I've been like, have I just been too kind of like all my ratings? Because I've been reading not like super far down, but a bit far down, but that was because like I was away, and then like all the next ones I had read, so I had to like obviously skip over those. And I'm just like, does everything I read right now suck, or is it just me? But I need to go back and talk to you about the books before. We are November 2021. We have Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. I do believe I told you last clip we saw that I didn't skip this because I read Merciful Crow. I really enjoyed that, and I was hoping to enjoy this. And I have bought the second book of the Illumicrate edition and the third one, which I haven't even arrived yet because I got anxious. What if I love it and I don't have the rest to match? And now I'm sitting here like, why did I do that? Because honestly, now it's been like a week or something since I read it, and I just like, did I care? It's like a bit of a, I'm just trying to like honestly describe this plot, because we have a main character who is a goddaughter of death and fortune, and then she has like hidden herself away as like a servant to the princess, and now my character lives like a double life of like being the princess and the servant because she needs to like keep her image alive. And I'm like, it's kind of like a bit sinister, but it's also like, it's a bit humoristic in a way. Not humoristic is maybe the wrong word, but it's very like, it starts off like, this is the story of how I got caught. But also it's more fairy tale-esque because in between like the sections of the book, it's just like, once upon a time there was a girl, blah 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 blah. And I thought that those were nice inclusions to the plot. Just the way we were like in this court and she's trying to like jiggle all like the part of this life she's created. I did believe like, I found myself just like not caring that much. Like she was talking to different people, they were like trying to figure out who she was, etc. Or not like trying to figure out, but like she was trying to not get caught. I was just like not that invested. I just didn't feel myself caring that much. And now I am like, oh my god, I can't believe I bought the sequel and the book after. But I did like feel like I liked the writing, I liked the drama, I liked the intrigue. And now I'm saying I don't care, I just feel like the overall story just wasn't super gripping. But then at the same time, it was a bit fun. I don't know, I'm contradicting myself for like 4 minutes ago because like I found it so hard sometimes just to think about a book, being like, what did I like, what did I not like? I guess I just, also to compare to the first book by the series, I really enjoyed the first one in that duology, and it was just like dark and really different, I felt like, and had some really good parts to it. Well, this just was just like very courty and intriguing, Ely, and I just found myself a bit jumbled sometimes while I want to see what's going to happen next. I don't know. I gave it a 3. I feel like honestly that's not so bad, and I will read the sequels since I have them, and I do think the edition is pretty. And that's what I got to say. Then there was A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsk. So I owned this for a while. I do not have the Illumicrate edition. I remember skipping. I don't know why, but I did. Hard to save money. This was December 2021. It sold in like the Advarian. Oh, there was a bookmark in there. Advarian Times. I don't even remember. It doesn't even say the year. Is that even correct? I don't even remember. It's like a historical fiction thing. A hidden world. I'm a magical conspiracy and a thrilling romance. We have these two dudes and I fall in love. And yes, it is gay. And we love to see gay. And I just thought I would honestly love this. I have the whole trilogy because like since I bought this as in the UK hardback, I wanted all of them so that they all like match and hike because do go out of print. And I couldn't fall for this story at all. I did not have a good time. It was these dudes. What were they even doing? These two dudes need to work together. Mystery. There's a bit of magic, but I just like I couldn't care. I couldn't care for what they were doing. It was like there was a sex scene. I was just like, oh my god, we are going in detail here. That was I did not expect. I just didn't care. I don't know what else to tell you. I was reading it. I was bored. I wanted it to be over. I am very disappointed because I thought I would honestly like it much more. And obviously, since I own the whole trilogy, I would love to love it because, like, hello, I spent money on it. I do think it was nice that it was gay. Obviously, that is like the most positive it's giving. And I gave it a 2-star. So it was just not a story that was set up in a way that I enjoyed at all. Then we have one book that I read from before that I have the Illumicrate edition of because I did not skip this one. And this is obviously This Woman Kingdom by Tara Murphy. I think this is one of the prettiest editions they made because it's like, it doesn't have a dust jacket. It is a completely different design from the original one. And I read all of these. I read all 3 that are out. I have all of them in Illumicrate editions. And it's honestly such a fun time. I don't know why, but it is. We have a main character who's like in hiding. She's a djinn and it's not allowed to be a djinn in this land because the king has gotten this prophecy that the djinn will bring down his regime. And then she comes across the prince. I think, does she try to steal from him? Or is that another book? But they come across each other and then he like becomes a bit obsessed with her because she's pretty, etc. and finds out who she truly is. And then like everything just unravels from that. There is, I don't know, because the way that this is told, it is first starts off as like a very typical, I would say, like fantasy with like the parts, the characters, etc. And then in the second book, you think it's going in a certain way, and we use so much time on this other thing. It feels like an episode of this is like a whole season of Game of Thrones, okay? The next book is like one episode of Game of Thrones. And the next book after that is the next episode. It's like, it doesn't feel, I don't know how to explain it. It's so weird. It doesn't feel like a complete book, but it's super entertaining and super like well done. You're super invested in the story. I was on my toes. I really, really enjoyed like the next ones. I was just like, nothing is happening, but why do I like it? Especially the second book. The third one was also wild. And honestly, there's this dude that is like on his knees begging for this woman, and I am there for it, and I'm just like, why am I enjoying this so much? I am questioning everything because it's like, it's such a fast read as well. It's like the font is ginormous, they look thick, but it's just pure gold entertainment. And I don't understand like how does she do it? Because I have never read a series like this where nothing is happening but I am enjoying and I care for the story, because I feel like that is what I like complain about the most. It's just like I didn't care and I was bored. But this one does it somehow. And I've been enjoying it so much. I'm waiting for the 4 book. Apparently I read the book 2 3 stars, but that was because nothing was happening. Book 3 I did rate 4 stars. Oh, it says that Every Spiral of Fate has just been announced and it is releasing on the 30th of September. It's 500 pages. I'm so excited because like they became so much shorter and I was actually quite upset about it. So I am ready for more because there's these secrets that we still have revealed, and it's just a way that are just super easy, well written books. And I don't understand how she did it, because every time I talk about it, I'm so confused by the fact that I enjoy it so much, because I feel like it's not a story that I would normally enjoy, but the way it's built up is just very different from other books I read. And I gave this a 4, and I'm giving this a 4 because it is while it has parts where I'm like, why do I like this? My enjoyment is so high, I can't help it. My Illumicrate piles are about to fall on the floor because I've been piling them up beside me. You remember I said that, oh my god, why did I subscribe to Illumicrate at this time? I do remember why now. It's because they finally got book only option, and then I do believe I was maybe on waitlist, or I just like got a book only option spot at once. I don't remember, but it was something like that. So I couldn't get like the full box because it's very expensive for me and I need to pay like taxes on that here. But I can have the book only option, and that's what I have. And I don't remember exactly when they announced that, but maybe it was around like the time when I got Wolf and the Wolfsman, or like right before or something. I don't remember. But I was so confused why I suddenly got like subscription. I had it since. Love that for me. Okay, so the last we're going to talk about in this clip, because the next one after that is in another room and I want to actually show you the edition, is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This is February 2022, and I just read this like not yesterday but the day before, and I would try to talk about it. Rebecca Ross is the author of Divine Rivals that obviously went viral and everyone has like been reading that. But A River Enchanted I did remember seeing. I don't remember why I skipped, but I do remember like I've been seeing it around and I've been wanting to read it, but I had just like kind of forgotten I wanted to. And it follows this boy named Jack that returns home after being gone for 10 years. He's a bard, and then he lives like by this like magical river. There's like spirits in the forest, and then there is like this conflict because girls has been disappearing from like their village, and then they're trying to figure out why, and then there's like a little love story while like magical in the air. The story is told in a very, very atmospheric, very, very good tone. I was very invested in the beginning. I really loved how like we unraveled this place for him and for us, because he hadn't been there for 10 years and it felt strange to him, while also at the time obviously for us as the reader to get to know this place. And I do believe like it was done beautifully in that regard. I just feel like the story lost me a bit because I wasn't invested enough in the plot. Which is so funny considering what book we just talked about. I just feel like I wanted more from it and more from the story, because I just wasn't that invested in like these girls missing and like who his father was and like that part of the story. But while I would say that this is definitely like a different kind of atmosphere, and I feel like it was written really well, and I like Jack as a character, I just didn't fall completely in love with the story, even though it felt very magical in a different way. So again, the atmosphere was done really, really well. I'm giving it a 3 here for this vlog because we're not doing half stars, but 3.5 is more what I would give it, because like by the end, when I was reading the ending and this like very dramatic thing happened, I was just like, I actually don't care about this. Then I felt like I couldn't give it a 4. So that is why like it's not giving a higher for me. But I still like enjoyed it nonetheless. And I also like didn't love Divine Rivals. I do believe I gave that a 3 as well. So I don't know. But that was the setting in that I definitely didn't like. And I just like didn't care that much for other things in the story as well. So it's just funny because it's like I feel like that is an opposite thing. But I do believe that Rebecca Ross is a good writer. I just feel like there are parts of the story holding me back for completely loving them. Okay, so that is it for this clip. You should see me again hopefully tomorrow or later today for many more updates, because we have like 8 more books we can talk about. Okay, so time for another update. We have Gallant by V.E. Schwab, which was the next one. This is March 2022, and I do have the Illumicrate edition, obviously, because I would not skip Schwab anyway. It even says Illumicrate exclusive on the back. I remember people being so mad about this edition because people generally did not like it, and I don't think it was the best design choice. Like, what is happening here? I don't know. I personally don't love it. I don't think it's my favorite. I do have a couple of special editions of this. I think I have like 5. So it's not my favorite of them, but obviously I wanted to showcase the Illumicrate one for the Illumicrate vlog. This is the edges though. I do like them. And the papers are nice. This is a standalone from Schwab. People call it a middle grade. It does have middle grade vibes, I would say, but I do think like it can be read across all ages. And it's about this girl that inherits this house, and this house has like, there's a lot of things going on in this house we need to solve, and it's kind of alive, and then there's a mystery. It's been a while since I read it. I only read it once. I did enjoy it, but I don't think it's like my favorite Schwab. I don't think it's the worst Schwab. I think it was entertaining. It had a really good atmosphere. It's kind of like a horror aesthetic kind of read. It's all about finding a home and finding where you belong, and I did overall enjoy it, and I did give it 4 stars at the time. I do stand by that now. I would reread this one day, just like when I'm in a certain kind of mood for it. Sometimes I honestly forget that she released this. Not that it was a bad book, but I do generally like when I think about it, it's like a good atmospheric book, but I don't think it's that for me that much of a memorable book, but still very enjoyable, very good to get into, very good to easily recommend to people, I think. So there's that. We then have April 2022, which is Portrait of a Thief by Grace Steely. This is just a normal edition. Apparently I skipped this. I don't have any recollection of doing so, but I do have just like the normal hardcover and I don't buying. It is cheaper than a special edition. I do hope it was, at least. Did I buy this? Did I wish it for something? I don't remember. Since then, like, I didn't read it for this vlog, but I didn't read it for this vlog because it is here, but I mean, I didn't read it like now. It is about these people we are collecting to do this heist. We are stealing art back to like that belongs to like, is it ancient China? Museum displays, dispose of war, of conquest, of colonialism. Prices of pieces of art looted from other countries kept even now. And then we have like different like people that we join in this crew, and it's like a heist story. So I do believe like the idea of this novel is fun. I remember being annoyed at the writing because we had like different characters and everyone had experienced different discrimination, which is obviously terrible and important to write about, but it was just like discrimination scene, think about flashback, a bit of character development, let's do this heist. You have to have a bit of suspense of belief as well that they were actually managed to do this heist. It was way too easy, almost a bit ridiculous, honestly, but like you have to just believe that they could do it just for funsies. I feel like it's very much a character driven story than anything else, and I guess that is often in heist, like you focus more on the gang coming together and how they work together more than like the actual heist itself. I just remember feeling, what did I even remember? There was something about like some of the characters I was like, eh. There was something that really turned me off, or if it was the writing that didn't flow that well with me, because I do feel like I didn't love the writing. I was invested in the idea of the book, but the execution didn't sit that well with me. And now I need to go and check what I rated it, because I do believe it stands as a 3. If you've read it now, would I give it a 2? But I like the idea, obviously, of going against your oppressors. It is also very queer. I never gave it a rating! Oh my god! I just skipped giving it a rating, probably because I didn't know what to rate it. This happens sometimes. Because I feel conflicted about the whole thing. I like the ideas, but like I didn't love it. Saw a lot of potential that didn't get met exactly, but I don't think it was terrible. If I read it now, maybe a 2. I would give it a 3 because that's how I feel like I would have rated it back then, maybe. I don't even remember. When did I read this? I read it in 1st of May 2023. It's like 2 years ago, and yeah, I have been actually considering unhauling it because I feel like it's not something that will stick for me and like something I want to reread. It's like I look at it and I'm like, eh. So yeah, maybe 3 is too nice, but we are sticking with 3. I'm literally like, how many books can I talk about in this one clip before it becomes too long? Not that the whole vlog is not going to be long, but next one is Book of Night by Holly Black. I read this, well, since it is Monday today as I'm filming this clip, it is now like 3 days ago. And this is the Fairyloot edition because Fairyloot and Illumicrate did the books at the same time because they obviously was released in the same month. This is May 2022. There's limited skips, more limited skips in the Fairyloot than Illumicrate. So I chose to keep my Fairyloot one because I didn't want to like waste the Fairyloot skip when I wanted the book, but I didn't need 2 editions, so I skipped Illumicrate. This is the Fairyloot. It's almost embarrassing to show it in the Illumicrate vlog, but here we are. The Illumicrate one is white. This one is black, as you can see. It is a pretty book. And this is Holly Black's Adult Debut. It is like it's supposed to be dark. Was it supposed to be dark academia? Was that how we dubbed it? I don't even remember anymore even. We have a thief and there's like shadows, and like these shadows can do like different magic, and then we steal stuff. I don't know what to tell you. I did not like it. I didn't like it for a second. And that just comes from a person who has enjoyed Holly Black's books before. I really, really enjoy The Darkest Part of the Forest. I do believe that what it's called. I really enjoy Cruel Prince. This one was just a mess. I don't like... I was not enjoying myself. I was not enjoying myself for a single moment. The characters were absolutely flat. They gave me nothing. The plot, the world, it was a mess. I was just like, what am I reading? Because like nothing was coherent or came together in a nice way. It was just like we talked to these different people. We got a job. There was like this underlying other plot going on, but like nothing felt nice or well done. And I feel very, very critical when I say this, but I obviously had high hopes because this is an author that I know has a lot of experience and that I have enjoyed books from in the past a lot. So I just really thought that this would be amazing. I think it sounded amazing before it was first out. I didn't even read a synopsis before it was out because I was so excited for it because I thought I would love it. I was like, out of the boot, it sounds dark, it sounds cool, and it just gave me absolutely nothing. I am just sitting here looking at the book because I read it on ebook, but I just like, what did this give me? Absolutely nothing. I think it was trying to do something cool and it did not manage to do so, in my humble opinion. I absolutely did not like it. I know the sequel is coming later this year. They're probably going to do a sequel edition, and I actually, like, as a person who keeps special editions because they're expensive, I do not want to keep this because it gave me nothing to work with, nothing that was good. And I feel like I I am shocked. I was just like, what am I reading? Because it was just nothing. And I'm giving it a 1 star, and I am as shocked as you, honestly. It even has a ribbon bookmark. I just saw that. That is shocking, but at least I got it off my TBR, guys. Ha ha ha. Sorry, I'm updating my spreadsheet. Okay, so we've only been here for 10 minutes. I feel like you can go for a few more. I read then We All Fall Down by Rose Sasbo. This I listened to on audio. It was literally only available on audio as well. I couldn't read the ebook. I've been listening to the audio now. It wasn't this month, it was last month, because I went from the bottom, I looked at what I had to audio, and then now we are here in the vlog. This was the June 2022. It is a very, very queer book. We have different gender fluid characters, and we have these 2 siblings that were separated at birth, and then now they are coming to this magical town, and one of them is an anchor for magic to be amplified in this town, and then they can change gender, but they can't control it. And then we have another character, there's involving murders and stuff, and then there is stuff going on. I am explaining it very badly because honestly this book was also very, very terrible, and I did not enjoy myself at all. It was super confusing, and just it was such a bad storyline. Also, the author has gotten a lot of criticisms for being racist, where apparently they have a pattern of making all the people of color in the book evil, and then in this one there's this person that accuses a black man of being a murderer, and then there's no consequences for this, and no one talks to that character that this is wrong, because obviously she thought that this would be fine, but then it's a big consequence, especially for this person, because they are black. And then I was just like, what is going on? It was a whole thing. The plot was not consistent in a way that we have these different characters and it just didn't come together. I didn't really get the plot, and I didn't really get what were we trying to say. I do understand that it's a very diverse book, always trying to be and inclusive of different things, and I do obviously think that that is important, but then it needs to be done well. I don't know how other people feel about it that are actually gender fluid or non-binary for this book. I was trying to read some reviews, but then I sort of deleted the whole book from my mind because it was so bad. But I do believe it was supposed to be a sequel, but I do believe that that is not coming because people really, really hated this book, and it had a super low average rating. And I completely understand it. The cover is stunning, and I read it, or I listened to it, and I was just like, what is going on right now? And I recently feel sometimes that I retain better on audio lately, depending on the situation. And this one just was impossible to retain because there was nothing to retain. And that says a lot. And I honestly don't know. I feel like it was a terrible book that had problematic things happening. If we look away from that, it was just not a good book. It just didn't build up to anything that was good, and it didn't come together in a good way, and the world and the characters and everything was just, I didn't get it. So I'm giving also this one a 1 star, and I am very happy I did not buy it, because apparently I must have skipped this as well, right, because I had a subscription, and I'm very happy about that too. Okay, so next one I also listened to audio. That was around the same time. This is The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is July 2022. This one we also have a high story where we collect this crew that is going to steal from this prince, and this prince stole our main character and trained her. She's one of the few water weavers in this world, and they really need her for this heist because it has to do with water weaving. I think it's a standalone. I thought it was a series, and then it really wrapped itself up there. Maybe it's a companion or something, I don't know. And I was a bit engaged in the story, a bit, because I thought it was interesting. One part of the story was that she has an ex, or one of my main characters in the crew, and that ex is a woman. And I was like, nice. And then she starts like a dude. So I thought it was just, I know that's not like the biggest thing in the whole world, but I thought that dynamic was interesting because I thought that she might get together with the ex again, but then other things happens. I like the whole relationship between her ex and like this dude that is like rough and is kind of cursed as well. I loved those three characters and their dynamics. The rest was just the heist itself. I was just like, this is boring. They took ages for them to get there, and when they actually do stuff, consequences happens, which are like fine because obviously it should be consequences from your bad actions. But then I was just like, it took just like, I was just, I didn't care. Can we get somewhere? I feel like I see people really enjoy this, but I might also remember wrong in a second. I was just sitting there like, at least like, you know, it gave like a story that we went from one end to another, and then something, a development happened, which I feel like Book of Night and We All Fall Down did not have. So I would give kudos for that alone, but that is like, that should just be a book. So I enjoyed like that conciseness of the story in a way. But overall, I was just feeling in the end, I was just like, I don't care anymore. I wanted to care for the characters, and I did enjoy their ending, well, I guess, when I think about it now. But just like the whole like world and the setup and the plot itself was a bit boring. And I do believe, did I give it a 2? Because that is what I'm thinking right now. But it might have been a 3. The round. And I did not, like, it's not that long since I read this, I feel like. It's like last month. Or was it one of the first ones I did? I did give it a 2. It was in January, actually. We are now in March. So, yeah, I've been reading things in the background, and it feels so nice now that we are here. 2, that seems fine. It was a bit boring, but it had some redeeming qualities. Now I need to get this next one, and then we might end this clip. We have now talked about a lot of books in this clip. I swear this is the last one, so that I can take a breather, and you can, well, not know any better because you would just watch this right after. This is August 2022, and there was obviously no way that I would skip this ever, and that is obviously Babel by Av Kwang. This is the Illumicrate edition. I have like, I do believe I have 12 or 11 editions of Babel. It's like one of the books I own the most copy of, so obviously I have to bring out the one that is correct for this. This is the edition. It got a slipcase case. We have the tower on each side, and then we have an act of translation is always an act of betrayal. Is that what it says? I hope so. I love it. I can even write property off, but I'm not going to actually write in it. I love all editions of the book, even the ugly ones that are a bit ugly. So this is the Illumicrate edition, and Babel is one of my favorite books. I say Babel, I know it's Babel, I don't care. Let's not fight about that. And like, you already know I gave this 5 stars. I read it twice, but honestly I should end up with a reread soon, and I love it. I don't think I can describe to you how much I love it, because like, honestly, it's now been a little while since I read it. Obviously I read it twice since 2022, and then I haven't read it since, and I feel like I should have read it again since then. And like, you know, when it's been like a little while since you read your favorite book, and then you're like, did I really love it as much? I do believe that when I reread it, I'm gonna love it as much, but now it's been a little while. I feel like I've forgotten truly how much I love it. So it is following the world in like, oh my god, like the actual year has escaped my mind. I don't think I can check this. Is it like in the first page of the book? 1836, and then we are in the middle of the height of colonialism. We have England stealing children from other countries because they need their language skills, because in this war we have silver working. The silver working works in a way that you need to say a word and then say other meaning of the word to make that silver work, and then like they used up the English language. I can't use it anymore, and English language is also a lot from like borrowing words, etc. So they need other languages, like for example a main character who is from Canton, and he is like taken to London, and he's like supposed to feel grateful to the world he has been raised in privilege, etc. And then like be grateful enough to go to the Tower of Babel, the Tower of Translation, to work there for the British Empire. But I realized is that maybe they have been wrong, that maybe that this is not the correct way, because like they are supposed to be grateful and work for them, but like they were forced to do so from the get-go. And it's a book about revolution, it's a book about language, it's a book about academia and colonialism, and it is dusty. I'm so sorry, book. And I love it. I feel like I cannot describe it enough. I feel like I can talk about this book a really, really long time. When I initially read it, I was vlogging on my channel, and I remember I had like a 20-minute clip in a little vlog just talking about this book and how much it meant to me. It was just so good. It brings up so many good themes, but it has great characters, a great drive. I know that a lot of people maybe like didn't love the plot as much because it's not like as exciting and not things happening all the time. Like it's not a high-tech fighting battle scene kind of book, but it is a book that is subtle in a way that like the action is in words, and the setting, the words it is written with, everything, the characters. I love it so much. I love it. It's one of my favorite things ever. And the camera says I have 1 minute left on my memory card. Excuse you, I need to go. 5 stars. See you later for another update. I need to also fix my memory card apparently. Hello. So I owe you an update. I keep procrastinating updating because I'm a procrastinator. The next book we are to talk about is The Book Eaters by Sunji Dean. We are in September 2022. This is a bit silly because I remember skipping this because I'm trying to not get every box unless like I'm very excited or I heard about it before because like money. But this ended up being the FAES and Gaze pick for the month. This came in September. I do believe that it was our October or November pick the same year. So I had to go and buy it anyway. Obviously, I got like the just normal UK hardcover, which is cheaper than the Illumicrate box, but still like I could have had a special edition with sprayed edges. So I just have the normal UK hardcover, and it actually is a book that I really, really enjoyed. I actually have also reread it later, and I still really, really like it. It is very good, and it is compared a bit to Handmaid's Tale, which I can definitely see. We have book eaters that live in secret in our world that look like us, but they don't eat food, they eat books. And when they eat a book, they kind of are influenced by what they read. They're influenced by what they eat. So the women in the world are raised on reading like princess books, for example, where they are saved by prince or like dependent upon men, etc., to influence them on how they grow up. But they have this, I would call it like the faction, where they can born a human eater and they need to eat humans instead of like books, so they get affected by the personalities they eat, and they are looked upon as monsters and have this way to control them, which is bad. But also the women are also being controlled because it's really hard for the book eaters to get children, so they have this breeding program where they like marry them away and they get like a child with like a certain like big family, because like they're all like big families, and it's really weird to get girls, and then when I get the child they move on to the next one, etc. So our main character, we are in the future where she's already been in this breeding program and she's on the run, and then we are trying to figure out like how did she get there, how does this world works, and then also trying to figure out like obviously why she's on the run and who she's with and what's going to happen with her. And then we also have her going back to how she grew up and like when she was through this breeding program and getting married and the loss she has experienced. I found it very dark, very gritty. Obviously, there's a lot to do with fertility and children and having children taken away from you and all of that stuff around that. So like if that triggers you, I wouldn't read it. And then also being a mother and the way that we don't have that many mother figures in fantasy. I really, really enjoyed this. I found it to be very good. I read it, as I said, the first time, and I had some issues with it where like I felt like certain things could have been explored more, and like the ending is very like rushed in a way. But either way, when I reread it, I still saw like some of those flaws, but I still nonetheless very, very much enjoyed it. It is a very well built book. It really throws a punch in, what is it, 300 pages. It's almost not, it's just barely 300 pages. I thought I was gonna rate it 5 stars upon reread, but I still gave it 4 because it was still like being held back by certain aspects of the story. I think the idea is super good. I think it's written really well. I think it's done really well. I would definitely read more books by the author. It has so many good ideas, as I said, and it is really heart-wrenching and about like really interesting topics. I just feel like the plot, maybe like the timelines and the plot, and some of it had some really, really, really good twists, but then some I just think could have been built better and felt a bit like sudden and be like, we had a lot of questions that weren't answered, and it is, as I can see, a standalone. I don't think we're getting more, so I'm just sitting here like I want more, but also it is good sometimes to, let things go and leave it with it being good at this. But 4 stars, a really strong one. Do have some regrets of not getting a special edition, but at the same time I haven't had the urge to like try to find it because it's not that different even from the original, so I will live with it. We then had Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew, which was October 2022. Clearly, I skipped it because I don't have it. Don't even remember why. And I did not have a good time with this, honestly. We have this deaf girl starting this school, and then she meets this boy that she met there met like 9 years ago, and they keep interacting and having to like do this thing together. He's asked to keep his distance from her, and then like a student shows up that I need to like solve this, etc. I just found it very like, I didn't care for a single thing. I didn't really care for the writing, the setting, the characters. I was just like, are we going to get to a point where I care for anything? And I just couldn't get into the story. I honestly feel like that is like my review of the things that like I truly cannot care for, because like when nothing sticks, that I don't have more to say. It's like the whole like relationship with them having to like stay away from each other, etc. I didn't care. Saw like a lot of people being hyped for it, and I truly thought that I might have enjoyed it, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't. Cannot say for the representation of being deaf in this story, because obviously I'm not. I remember the book starting with like, I am not made of glass. I am much stronger than glass. I am stronger. And that was how the writing was. And I was just like, geez, calm down. It is like how Selena Sadorthian in Throne of Glass keeps saying that she's the most notorious assassin over and over. And I just felt like the writing was trying to be poetic, and it just really annoyed me, and it just didn't give me anything, and I gave it 1 star. We are moving on. So next up we had The Luminaries by Susan Dennard, November 2022. I skipped this even as a person who had another Susan Dennard series, but I hadn't started it yet. And then I remember did debate keeping this, but I do think I was too poor. So this is like based on like a Twitter choose your own adventure thing that Susan Dennard did that was called The Luminary or something. And it is based on that. Then I wanted to read this book actually for a while because I was curious about it. I didn't really like vote in like the Luminary poll things, but I did see them on my feed all the time at the time when I was on Twitter, the time that this went viral within his community. We have a main character who is called Winnie. She hunts like ancient creatures, and in the book we had like illustrations of like werewolves, vampires, etc. I thought that was fun, but they were evil and we had to kill them. So she needs to go to these hunting trial thingies and need help from this hot dude. We are hunting, and I just didn't care. I couldn't get into the story. The fact that our main character is on the 16th birthday, and I know, okay, as a person who's been reading YA for years, I just like couldn't wrap my head around it. And like apparently like my tastes go more to like this, which is clearly like an adult book for an adult person having a child. And then I needed to read about this like 16-year-old dealing with life. And it was just, her name is Winnie, and she was whiny, and I did not have a good time. I wish I did, kind of, because as we know, we started this vlog. Didn't we start this vlog off with Truth Witch? Not, it was the second book. That's such a long time ago. And I didn't really love that either, but I liked that more. I gave that a 3, right? And I found like the witches and the characters more interesting. They felt a bit older, and this just felt too young for me. And now I feel really old saying that, because I honestly thought that I wouldn't get to this point, but I am now at that point. And I gave this 1 star as well. Don't look at me. So the next one is Red Scarlet's Wake by Aliette de Bodard. This is set in like this universe of Yuxia series, which it seems to be like a bunch of standalone sets in the same universe but are sci-fi. This one is one that was really hard for me to like. It reminded me a bit Murderbot / what's the other series called again? Auxiliary Justice, but I didn't really like feel as smart as those. Like it was that kind of like sci-fi where it's written a bit like you just need to go with the vibe in a way, and then you either get really into it or you don't. And I just couldn't. And my character needs to enter this marriage with this other character, go out into the universe. It was very queer though, and I just feel like it was trying to like be this massive, cool, galactic thing. But it didn't, for me, lay the groundwork for the story to work for me or be invested in the story. But we do have some arranged marriages, some murder, some investigation, some universe. And I was sitting there like, I did definitely see like more like Asian influences in the story. So that is the thing. And I like that. But I just didn't fall for it, didn't care for it, as apparently I do with every single book here. Not every single one. I just feel like a lot of things that I have been reading and not like the ones I already read before just haven't felt like anything particularly fun for me. So, yay. I gave it a 2. We then have God Killer, which I didn't skip because it is absolutely gorgeous. It was like on one of my most anticipated year. This is obviously done January 2023. And it is honestly because it's just so gorgeous. And then Illumicrate did it and have like these gorgeous sprayed edges that I am completely obsessed with. And then I also have like the sequels matching beautiful. I really love the look of this book. I actually read this, was the last year. I used about a month on it because I was brother reading with my friend Justine. And then she got very busy, so I had to wait for her. And then I don't think it's the kind of book you should read over the course of a month. It is very short, starting off. And we have different characters. We're in this world where gods are away or like hidden. And then we have a main character who's like killing gods because they killed her family. And then we have a little band of people meeting up to go on this quest, and they are being pursued, and like one of them is like monk-like character, and then we are on the road, and then we're gonna hunt people, or like we're gonna try to do things. I think I like the characters and I like the story fine. I just feel like it is very short to trying to like combine all the things it wants to do. Obviously it is a series. I thought for some reason it was like a duology or something, and then another book came. So now there's 3 books. I don't know, I felt like someone said, oh wait, it's ending in the next book, and I was just like, wow, that was fast. But now there's 3 books out, so I'm like, it was a lie. But I'm glad in a way, because I do feel like expanding it is much better. It's definitely a nice setup with the characters, and most of the story goes as we go on the road, etc. I wanted more development into like the gods and how the war worked, and missed some of that for me. But overall, I liked it fine. I did end up giving it a 3. I wanted to really, really love it, and I thought like I wanted it to blow my mind and be like a new favorite fantasy. I don't think it's necessarily super bad or anything, and I do still think it is absolutely gorgeous. So is the sequels. So I'm glad I own it. But we shall see when I eventually read the sequels. I have not yet, obviously, because I do think Justine wanted to read the rest with me, maybe. So I'm gonna wait for her when she has more time. That was a 3-star I gave it. So like I felt totally fine by it. I just feel bad for all the books. I'm just like, I didn't get into it. I didn't like it. We can take more before I'm gonna go and try to eat something. The next one is, I didn't believe it was behind me. It is one of the ones that I have turned to have like the spread edges out, and I just forgot how it looked like. Next one is Song of Silver Flame Like a Night by Amelia Van Schau. This is absolutely gorgeous. Obviously, I didn't skip. It's because Amelie is the author of Blood Air, which, oh, that's why it's not in the shelf, because it was earlier. Sorry, this vlog has been going on so long, I don't remember what we talked about anymore. So I actually already read this as well, just as I had with Blood Air, and I have actually also read the sequels. I finished this duology, and I can never like describe the plot of this, even though I read it. We have this character, her land was colonized, and then magic is like banned, and then now she's going out into the world trying to find one of the last magicians so that they could return the kingdom again and find the past of her kingdom again. She meets this dude and they work together and fall in love, obviously. And like I remember liking it. Look, I didn't love it. I feel like it blended a bit, like when you read like these kinds of fantasy. Every time I describe one, it sounds like the other. And I don't think it had enough elements in it to be like super original and super like sticking into my mind. But it was still like an enjoyable time. I didn't hate it or anything, but it wasn't like, oh my god, it blew my mind. The second book though had some interesting developments, but oh my god, the ending in that one really, really annoyed me. It is also very pretty though. And sometimes I almost like, because obviously I wanted this because it is gorgeous. I was known with author, etc. But at the same time, I'm like almost annoyed they're so pretty, because like I don't think the series was spectacular. But now I'm stuck with only this forever because I can't get rid of it because it's so pretty. But it's like a series that was just totally fine. I didn't particularly love it, and I didn't particularly hate it either. Like for example with God Killer, like just to compare, I found that to be more complex, but like couldn't carry the complexity yet. While this is more like, it is a fun story, but it's not like amazing. I just need to song like silver. I need to check what I rated it. If I rated it 4 stars, I'm a bit pissed. Okay, I did rate it 3 stars because that is what I feel like I would have given it. Oh, the US score was really nice as well. It was a good time. I sounded very negative, but I'm trying to be like, it was fun, but it wasn't the best book ever, and I feel like 3 stars is fine. I had a good romance, had some good banner, had some good like secrets that we were coming to, but overall not like blowing my mind. You know? Have we had the mind-blowing book here yet? I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't even know who I am. Okay, so the next few books all were like, so we can talk about that another day. And now I'm gonna go and do something or something. Okay, let's go over a few more titles because then we are caught up with where I am reading. That would be great. Started off with Lies We Sing to the Sea by Sarah Underwood. That was March 2023. I remember skipping. I also saw a couple of reviews because I had forgotten this, and then I read some reviews after finishing it that the author is writing this kind of retelling of the Odyssey and didn't even read the original text. And people were very angry and left it a lot of like low-star reviews. I have not read the Odyssey either, but I have read a couple of Greek mythology retellings, I can admit that. I didn't really think about like lore, etc. when I was reading it. I was just trying to get into the story, and I really couldn't with this as well. I was quite bored. We have these different characters. Some is getting married, some is not getting married. There is like kissing and feelings across different characters, and I just couldn't like land on a single one, or like I was like, what are we doing? What is happening? Are we cheating? Are we not cheating? I don't know. And we have like this setting, and then what was it? I saw someone saying that this is not a like Odyssey retelling, but it's definitely like set in the Greek times with the Greek gods, so it definitely is. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but it just wasn't interesting. The plot wasn't engaging. We were trying to do a cool plot, and I just like, I was bored apparently. It's what I say with every single book here. We choose out like 12 maidens to hang. That is what Poseidon wants. And then she wakes up on this island and meets this girl. And then we have different characters that's always getting married, etc. I mean, it doesn't need to be a retelling of the Odyssey, by the way. But like, if you want to write off mythology, you should read of it. I don't even know. But there's a lot of Greek mythology stuff out there. So I cannot say what is the correct thing to do to things here. But it was just a thought. People were not happy, and that is fair. And I couldn't get into the story even. I didn't really find it super engaging. I forget that the book wanted to be really beautiful, and the end was a bit like sweet, but I was sitting there where like, did I care for a single character? No. So I gave it, as per usual, a 2 star. Not as per usual, because we given a lot of 3s and then some 1s, and life is just not good, man. We can go to the next one, which is Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tesh. This is April 2023. This is another one where the author was trying to do a lot of things at once and didn't really manage to do so. This is an epic sci-fi, and I actually been very excited for it because I heard really good things about it. It's been like on my radar for a long time. Like, I've been in the store and I looked at the book and I want to buy it. Apparently Sandra still skipped it though, but I might have just been poor, so that is why. We are in space and we're gonna avenge like the death of a planet, which is Earth. And then we are like warriors, and then we're trying to go out on these missions, and there's that and stuff happening. It was queer, and it was very like, it was trying to do a lot of things. It was trying to look into like a lot of like topics about minorities and like privilege, etc. And I do think it was trying too much at once, and I didn't really manage to hit where I wanted to hit. I also just felt like, again, there was something to do with the writing. I just couldn't get like into it. It was, again, very like distant and far, and I was just like, what are you trying to say here? What are you trying to do with the story? And I just couldn't get into it. Again, I'm saying that about every single book. I'm feeling slightly insane myself. Maybe I would have been different if I wasn't in like this weird reading mood I am in right now. But I gave it 2. And I was just like, well, I'm glad I didn't buy it. It just felt flat. It just couldn't emotionally grasp me, as with everything else apparently. Is this vlog done soon? So I have one now that I read before that I didn't skip. This is done. It was not at all where I thought it would be. Sitch Witch King by Martha Wells. Martha Wells is the author of Murderbot, so that's why I didn't skip it. And I did read this for, I do believe it was my Nebula vlog last year. Or I had read it before that vlog, and then I just talked about it. Either way, it has purpose, but it is pretty. And I wanted it. And this is another one where I was very confused and I didn't really enjoy it that much. And couldn't get into it, as apparently is the meme for this vlog at this point. I feel like Illumicrate picks really diverse and cool books, but just like I don't think that all the books are executed that well for me. I'm looking here. We are being murdered. Or we have been murdered. We are waking up, and then we try to find out like who murdered him, and there's like a lot of like politics, etc. I remember saying at the time where like I feel like I need to read this again. I feel like I just couldn't get into it, and I was just a lot of names and characters. I was just, what is happening? I feel like Murderbot can be a confusing book as well, but it's much simpler because it's shorter. So I wanted to get into this, and I'm sad that I didn't. I just like felt very like what was actually happening. Well, like I think the idea of it is cool. I just want to see what I rated it. I do believe I want to like it so badly that I rated it 3 when it maybe should have been a 2 if I had read it now. I didn't even rate it. I just didn't give it a rating. Because I didn't give it a rating. I felt like I didn't understand it enough to give it a rating at the time. I just couldn't care apparently. I guess we're just giving it a 2 because since I didn't give it a rating then, and like since I feel the way I feel about that as I felt about these other things I've been giving it 2, it makes it fair. But I do believe I am tending to reread it at a point. I just don't know when. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to myself honestly because I'm suffering. Okay, so the next one, it's absolutely stunning and in my shelf. It's The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero Lacrosse. I know I'm not saying that correctly. And it is just beautiful edition. That was one of the reasons I didn't skip it, because I thought it looked so stunning. And I wanted to love this as well. You can guess what I felt though, because I did not love it. And now I'm just looking at it, I'm like, I own you. And I don't want to get rid of you because you're beautiful. But what am I going to do with you? What am I going to do with this book? I did not have a good time. And that was quite disappointing because honestly, I was very, very excited for it. And I've been owning this and looking at it. And I think it's stunning and it looks incredible, but I just couldn't get into it. History and a world inspired by South America. We have 2 main characters living on the edge of society for different reasons. They meet. Stuff happens. There's magic. Reina was a creature of the void with her whispering monstrous heart. What a nice fancy quote. I don't know what to say, man. I feel like maybe I'm the issue at this point. I was just reading and I was feeling bored. And I feel like there was too many books off one another where I didn't feel like it had anything that stood out to me where I wanted to get into the story. I honestly thought that people really, really loved this, but it has a 3.3 average rating on Goodreads. And I was like, oh, that is not a lot. I just felt lost in the wind. It was too many things going on. Simultaneously, nothing was going on. And I just couldn't get into the characters or the world or anything, as we have said many times. And I honestly feel like sometimes it is me. But then I see, as I just said, that the book has a 3.3 average rating. And I'm like, well, it isn't just me. So I just wanted execution better. That is what I wanted for a lot of these books. And this just blended in with absolutely nothing. And now, like, the sequel is coming. It is probably going to be as stunning as this one. But now I don't barely even want this anymore because it gave me absolutely nothing, even though I absolutely love the design. So that is like the curse of a special edition. But if it's really good, it's worth it. But then after, it's like, if it's really, you don't like it, then what do you do? I gave this a 2 as well. I honestly just, at this point, I'm just repeating myself. I'm blaming my mood. And then I see the next one I read, which I read from before. And it's not, even Witch King, I didn't even read that now. I read it like the last year. I can't even blame my mood. The next one, where is that one? If I can find it. I can't find the books on my shelf anymore. I feel like totally out of it. I found it. I can't find some books on my shelf. We have the Jasade Air by Sarah Hassan. This I did not read now either. I read it, I do think it was last year. Beautiful, cool edition. I heard that it's going to be really cool. I'm just reading the synopsis to give you an inkling of what it's about. Why is like the book falling apart when I'm opening it? Air was lost 10 years ago. Magic was outlawed. She's thinking about how her country was lost. And then she meets the prince, I remember. And then they work together, but he doesn't know who she is, obviously. But her secret is not hidden as she thinks. And then she has to think about the kingdom she left behind and now. And then there's like supposed to be like good banter between her and like the prince. And I remember reading and I was like, I'm bored. I don't like it. I'm not into the story, into the characters, into anything. As I've been with every single book here, but at least my reviews goes fast or something. I don't even know. This is not even reviews. This is just me saying the same thing about every book. I was disappointed because I remember like it was compared to something I really enjoyed and I can't remember what. But then it was just not it. I was reading it and I was like, really? And I don't even remember if the sequel is out or if like I just never bought it. I don't even remember. But I didn't get it if it's out. And now I'm sitting here again, like, I have another beautiful book that I didn't like at all. And yeah, the curse again, because space and life and all that. But I thought I genuinely really liked this when I read it, and I didn't. And what did I rate it? Did I rate it 3? Because sometimes when I'm not in like a certain mode, I just give 3 to everything that I like. Oh, but it's probably my problem. I did give it a 3. I'm like maybe parts of it more than I thought. And book 2, since we are here, it's not coming out until July. It is purple. I can't buy that. Oh, I'm annoyed. Like, now a part of me wants it. Someone tell me to not. Thank you. But like, what did I do with the first one? And I don't have the matching sequel. And then it's just, then I'm just there. I'm gonna get the next book that I'm currently reading. The worst part is honestly when you skip a book that was pretty good and you didn't know, and then you have the ones that are not good, and then you suffer. The one I'm currently reading is Sarah by S.J. Jones, Guardians of Dawn. So this was, just to be correct here, August 123. Oh, I forgot to totally mention that from just out here, I was a rep for Illumicrate, so that's why I didn't skip it. Else I would have maybe. So I was a rep, so I have this because of that. And then I also got this because I got them for free, right? And then I also, was I a rep for 3 months? Did I not rep for only 3 months, or was it 4? Because then I might have bought this myself. Because I do believe this was a rep book, and then the next 2 months. I do believe it was a 3-month period, not a 4-month period. Well, I've never been a rep for anything. I felt really cool, okay? And now they don't do YouTube reps anymore, but that's besides the point. It's very pretty. I really, really love it. It looks like anime on the under. And it is like what this group like of fighters that was like legendary. And now we are like collecting the team. Or not the team back together, but a new team, I guess. Magic is forbidden. Seriously? Magic is forbidden in like every single book we have here, and I'm like, why? I'm just trying to see what the synopsis actually says. And now you need to find elemental warrior within. I feel like every book is like one warrior. So far, I'm not really that into it, and I feel a bit about it like I've felt with everything else right now. So that is sad. I'm hoping to like it more because I did buy the sequel of this already because I wanted them to match, and I do think it's a stunning book. But now I'm just like, I am questioning everything. What is the point of a stunning book if it's not stunning on the inside? We have very few books left after that, actually. Currently audiobooking some of them while reading, etc., as I've been doing. I just feel like Illumicrate picks very like a bit lesser known books maybe. But S.J. Jones is the author of Wintersong, which we had earlier, and I did enjoy Wintersong a lot, as we know. I have some thought because when we would do Favorite Box, we were in a certain like a genre, so they were all obviously the same because they were written for the same audience, while there were some there that were really, really good. Here we have like many different genres. We have sci-fi, we have YA, we have adult. And I feel like that is refreshing, but at the same time, they feel the same anyway. Obviously, when you have a subscription box, you're picking a certain kind of book that you think go out to your audience. But I just feel like while we have very different looking books with different backgrounds, etc., like the different 3 ones we have right now are all from like different inspirations from different cultures. I think like that is credible. The diversity is definitely there, which I think is great. That doesn't mean that the book itself is interesting, but like it still shows big steps from Illumicrate, and I love that. But I just feel like still the book doesn't have like a thing that really makes me fall into it. Like it doesn't have a relationship or writing or world that makes me be like, oh my god, this book is absolutely incredible, if you know what I mean. And I feel like while we have had not like all low ratings in this one, we haven't had really high ones either. Like I feel like I have given 4 stars to maybe a couple, like not counting rereads. They feel like the same book by not being the same book. I don't know how to explain it. It's just really weird because while I feel like the books weren't necessarily horrible or following the same like pattern as like in the YA favorite ones, they feel like they're still following the same pattern. I don't know how to explain it. Now I'm gonna go and actually maybe edit a video, and then we should see if I finish Guardians of Dawn today, and then I will probably procrastinate updating anyway. See you later. So we are back with more updates. The same place. I'm struggling a lot. I am at a point a bit further ahead than I've been procrastinating updating again. And I'm struggling with the fact that I don't like a single book almost. And I don't know what's going on. I feel like the earlier books were easier to like, and all of these just blend together. They give absolutely no substance. And I'm struggling a lot, like, gathering thoughts, because right now I feel like my brain is just, like, asleep throughout this whole process right now, because now I've just been in this, like, modus thing for way too long, and I need to get out. But I have 3 books left as I am filming this. I'm soon out. But we have Sarah or Guardians of Dawn. It is a very, very pretty book with little substance, as I just said. We are collecting like these Asian fighters things, as I said, and magic is forbidden. And it just, the relationships, the characters, the world, it gave me nothing. And I am saying that in every single thing. And I feel really bad because I don't have more to say. I'm reading it and I'm just like, do I even care for a single thing? I do not. I could see some Korean mythology definitely coming into the book. That is like the most positive thing I can say about it. And I gave it 2 stars. And I don't have more. Oh my god, this next one. It makes me sad because obviously I have a subscription. I do skip a lot of them because the ones I'm very not interested in, but the ones I have, I'm definitely interested in. And I'm so sad that I have not been liking a single one almost because I spent money on these. They're pretty edition. I want to keep them. But the next is A Sudden Drowning by Ava Reed. This is the same author of The Wolf and the Woodsman. I like that more, just to say that. But this is a dark academia rival thing. And I honestly was so hyped for it. I remember like it came into the store when I was working and I was like, oh my god, it's here and I'm still getting my special edition and I think it's so pretty. But this one was just so boring. It gave nothing. We have these 2 characters that fall for each other, obviously. There's fairies involved. There is supposed to be enemies to lovers and we're supposed to care for these characters fall for each other. It is so funny because A Sudden Drowning and then I'm reading now A Dark and Drowning Tide, which both has drowning in the title. Both are academic, both have rivals to lovers or whatever, and both has to do with fairies. And I was like, what is going on? I will talk about it a bit later because that is much of a later book because obviously I forgot to say the month, but this is September 2023. Did not find a single thing in this that was interesting. I was snoozing, honestly, because I was just not invested. I'm so sad because I really, really like this book. And now, as I said, all of these editions, I don't know what to do with them anymore. I just don't think it's worth having them on my shelf taking space. Like, I'm going to live for hopefully maybe another 70 years. And there's going to accumulate a lot of books in a time. Do I have space in my life to keep these books that are no worth to me? But yeah, I give this 1 star. And honestly, I know I'm not reviewing at this point even properly. Who cares? Who cares? I have given up in my soul. I need to get all the books because I'm not prepared for anything. I'm pretty sure I was a rep for Sarah, Sudden Drowning, and After the Forest because I'm sure I would have skipped this if I was not a rep at the time. This is a pretty book. I listened to the audio on this while suffering through all the others. It is a really pretty design as well. I struggled with this one as well. It was really, really trying for me to like it. It was a bit wild. It is a Hans and Gretel, not necessarily retelling, but it's after they have been in the forest, and that's like many years ago now. And then they're basically just trying to survive. She finds out she's a witch. Her brother's struggling with, I was going to say PTSD and depression, and spends all the money. She then finds out that there's a werewolves flock, and then they are like protecting the town. And then she meets this man who is not completely human either, and she starts having a thing with him, and she's accused of witchcraft, and the story plays out for there. I don't want to tell you like more, but that's the general gist. We are in the forest, in like this small town in the forest, I mean. And I really was so up and down with this book. In the beginning, I absolutely hated it. I thought it was super annoying. I didn't like how the story started out or how it built itself up. I was just like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to say right now? And it was just like so much back and forth, and it just didn't have a good flow to it. And then I kind of got a bit into it, and I thought it had some interesting parts. Like, I started to care slightly for the characters, but then everything was just so typical. Like, the way we have this curse that needs to be broken. We had plot twists of, like, what was behind everything. I was just sitting there like, really? Really? I don't know if it was the narrator either. Like, I didn't particularly, like, love the narration either, but I don't usually get that affected by it, except this one a long time ago. Not that long time ago, but a while ago. I liked it slightly in the middle part, like slightly, but all the characters just felt like architectures. They didn't feel like real people. I don't know, like, obviously we are in a fantasy book, they're not going to be real people anyway, but I just struggled of all. The whole thing was a struggle bus. It was, at a point, could have been maybe a 3-star, but I ended up on a 2 because I did like parts of it. I just felt like it was a lot in one book, and I don't think the directions it went and like the plot was just like, I was sitting there like, really? So yeah, again, now I have another pretty book I don't know what to do with. I think it had good atmosphere, good like dark fantasy fairy tale-esque gritty atmosphere. That's what I think it did well. But other than that, the plot, the characters, goodbye. So the next one I had read before, but it's not that long since I read it. Afterwards was obviously October 2023, and now we are in November 2023. I keep forgetting. Actually, right behind me. Love that for me. So that is Starting House by Alex E. Harrow. Did not skip this because it was Alex E. Harrow. This is one of the prettiest books. Because it's like see-through dust jacket, and then it's like this, and then like the background goes into dust jacket. I love it. I read this last year because I was reading all World Fantasy Awards, or was it Nebula? I don't remember in a second. I do believe it was World Fantasy. This is about this girl that starts cleaning in this house that like she keeps dreaming about, and then she's connected to this house that things is going on in this house. I don't know what to say. I liked it. I think it was well written. I think like the plot was fine. I could get into it, but then after like the beginning, I was really enjoying when she was like getting to know this house and we were like figuring out these dreams. And then I remember like it kind of ebbed out a bit as we got closer to what was really going on. I was just like, I felt like I didn't care. I cared about her and the relationship she had with her sibling. The romance was really whatever for me. So I ended up at the time giving it a 3. Now that I read Once of Future Witches, which I thought I would love, and as we know, I did not, I would say that this is like, wow, in comparison. It was really atmospheric at the time. I just read a synopsis to say it's like, she never had a home, and now maybe she will find it in this house. I do still believe that this is pretty, and I'll definitely keep this, because I did enjoy the book fine. But I just felt a bit disconnected to it after a while. I feel like I'm just knocking it out of the park here. I need to leave in a moment. So the next we had was The Principle of Moments, which was December 2023 by Esme Dikemi Pearson. I tried to get my library to buy this for me because it is not a Libby, because it is only a UK release and I don't have any UK libraries in my Libby. And then I didn't want to buy a copy because I didn't own it from before, and I don't want to like spend money on a book in case I didn't like it, as we have seen here. And then my library didn't want to buy it for me. And then I couldn't, what was it? I couldn't even buy the audio. There was like a whole thing. But I found out, I made a new Amazon account that I connected to a UK address, and it's on UK Kindle Unlimited. So I started a free trial for that, so I could read this without having to pay anything. I think that was pretty clever. Just saying. This is a sci-fi which is told in 2 different timelines. We have like one like far into the future and one in our past, and these 2 connects with like visions and to save the world, etc. It was a bit chaotic. It was fine. I liked writing and I liked the characters. I liked their journeys. I just didn't think the book had anything in it that was like super, I was gonna say, stood out to me and was amazing. It did feel like a breath of fresh air in amongst all of these other things, because obviously when I talk to the books with you, I go in the order of like how Illumicrate had them in monthly boxes, but that's not the order I have read them in. I try to follow like obviously the list, but sometimes I got things too early, for example available, etc., and I had to just read it before it expired in the library. But yeah, it was fine. I think a bit confused, and I believe I'm blaming my brain for being tired from reading all of these books, of like a bit of the timelines and how like they function together. I saw a lot of people compare to, was it Doctor Who? And I love Doctor Who, and I wish I'd seen more of that in the story. I feel like I was not seeing it as much, but that again, I do believe honestly is a me problem. I did like it though, so I'm giving it a 3. I feel like just because I felt a bit more positive towards this, it's getting a 3. So I felt fine, but I am still glad I didn't buy it because I don't feel like necessarily I need to own it. But I would definitely like continue on with the series and just like borrow it in a way if I can, because not a single library in all of Norway had it. But yeah, I think that's what I got to say about that one, and then we can go on to the next one, which I did not skip, so I have it, and I really wish I did not. So that is Voyage of the Damned. That is January 2024. We are really closing in on the end here. By Francis White. I got this because of it being review bombed, and it was a whole thing, so I wanted to support the book and I wanted a pretty edition. I do think it's pretty. We have a murder mystery. We are on this ship, and then it is just the way I didn't like this from the get-go, because the first conversation in this book is, I just need to find it, people coming over to a main character and calling them a pissfish. And we have pages upon pages them being like, you're a pissfish, you're a pissfish, pissfish. And I was just like, are we 12 years old? What is going on right now? And it really just put me off. Like, that was the tone setter for the whole story. And I was just like, what is happening right now? And I know that it is not a YA. I know that it's supposed to be adult, but just the language and the tone of the story, I was just, what? And I was confused so many times in this book of what world we were in, because obviously you automatically go to a certain like fantasy expectation / world when you're reading it, but like it kept like putting you off all the time. It couldn't decide what kind of world it was making. It was so inconsistent, and it was just super, super annoying. And then it was just like this light-hearted, weird like language of how they were speaking. They felt like they were all 12-year-olds instead of being the adults they were supposed to be. And then we had this murder. I get it's wanted to be whimsical and funny, and I can see that working for some people. And I am normally, I don't mind that, but it was just like the way you like see this, I guess like you go in with certain expectations and it's at this tone. And I just hated how they spoke to each other from the get-go. And then I just didn't care about this murder. I didn't care about these characters, because then I was already not enjoying myself. Obviously, I love that it is queer and all that, but it didn't give me anything. I do think it's a very pretty book. I don't know what to do with it now, as with everything else. And I give it a 1 star. What else is new or old in my life? Honestly, I still have some time, so we can talk about... We talk about 6 books. We can talk about a 7th before I leave you and keep procrastinating talking in this vlog. We have To Cage a God by Elizabeth May, which was February 2024. I remember skipping. Elizabeth May was the author also of another book we read. Was it Seven Devils? Or co-author of that book. And To Cage a God, I read now a little while ago because I had to read it because it came into the library. It was like a wait list, so I just put myself on the list. So like always I would get to read it without paying for it. And then I got it much earlier, and then I waited until like the last day to read it. So like it was as close to when I needed to talk about it as possible, but it's still a little while ago because I've been doing this vlog for 3 months. I don't even know, because I thought it was very confusing and I didn't really particularly like it. So we have people who have like gods inhabiting in them, and then they need to like fight for control against like the gods that are in them all the time. And then I do believe it was like, we are taking a kingdom or something. I think the concept of the like the caging of the gods was interesting, but the rest of the story just, I was not invested. I was so hyped starting it because I heard so good things about it too. And then I see now he has a 3.3 average rating on Goodreads. To cage a god is divine, to be divine is to rule is to destroy. And then we just keep going at each other. A strange lover turned violent rebel leader. Apparently I just need to repeat the synopsis a bit for you here. And then we are fighting and I didn't care. Honestly, I gave it a 3. And I was optimistic. I feel like this is in the beginning of the vlog. Yes, this is in February. This is over a month ago. Soon 2 months ago. I was a different person then. I don't know why I gave it a 3. I definitely want to give it a 2 now. And I feel like I should be allowed to do that, because I normally haven't changed the rating for the books I read years ago. I feel like this doesn't count because I'm trying to compare in a vlog here, and it does not deserve more than a 2. So I give it a 2. I didn't care clearly, and I'm really sorry for existing, honestly. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing. But the next book, that was a ride. And we should talk about that in the next clip. I need to go to a job interview now, so wish me good luck and you should see me later. Okay. So I feel like we need 3 more clips, perhaps 4, for this vlog to be over. And I am reading the last book today. So I feel like I said I had finished last time we talked, but then I got the next one off hold. So it was a whole thing. But next one is Fat Mom Folk by Elisa Chan. This was March 2024, exactly a year ago. Because, I mean, we are in April now, but a year ago in pics, I guess. And I listened to the audiobook all the way in the beginning. I feel like it was in January. I feel like it's ages ago. I aged a lifetime because I was like, I was going from the bottom to find audiobooks, and this was like one of the ones that was available the earliest. And this one was very confusing in the beginning. How would I even describe it? We're in this world where we have like sea creatures and humans trying to live on like these islands. And then like the humans hate the sea creatures, but they also like are, I don't know what to say, they are dependent on them. them, but like they're trying to work together to like live in this society together. And then we have different point of views. We have a woman that is hiding and then soon revealed is her secrets. She's together with this high politician and she's like manipulating him in a way. And then we have a girl who has a brother and they are like dragons, and dragons has like these pearls that are like very valuable inside of them. And then she has like common trouble, so she needs to go and live with her brother like in the like, I was gonna say like the big city, while like they usually live like underwater further away. And then he is together with this woman that it like you lose to grow up in the trenches, like where the poor people are, and like the sea creatures are treating even more terribly. But she's like become like a really high officer and like the, I guess you can call it the police force in this world, and like it's really like not normal for like a person from her background to be that. But people are very skeptical to her and like obviously working against her every step of the way. And then these like things are happening in a society where like people are protesting against this rule on how the world is working, and like the discrimination and racism against the sea creature, or the Fatma folk as you call them. And then it plays out from there. In the beginning I was trying to really like place where it was going, and then the book started to annoy me a lot. And that is really because I have like the little sister character. She keeps going back and forth all the time, doing the same mistakes over and over and over, and I got really annoyed with her. I was like, why are you so stupid? Can you stop? My favorite character was probably like the officer kind of like character. I was together with her brother. I really liked her and like the brothers' relationship. I don't remember any names. I like their relationship because they've been together and I really believe that they loved each other, and I like to see her development and really trying to help her people while struggling. And I like the other like high wife politician character, which is there's more sides to her. She was an interesting character, but I feel like it fell flat and it managed to like follow through with what I wanted with this character. And then like the plot just, it had some interesting like reveals in itself, but it was very annoying because again the same mistakes were being made over and over, and I feel like it was just really made for convenience instead of like actually giving substance to the plot. And this was in the beginning when I didn't realize that I was gonna hate most of these books. So like because of that, I feel like I liked it more than I would have now. If I read it now, I feel like I would have read it much less. But I did read it 3 at a time because like I enjoyed the world of it and like some of the aspects of like the politics, I guess. And like I feel like it represented a lot of things in a nice way. I just feel like the character developments and like I guess like how it evolved was very predictable, but I was emotional in the end and I felt a bit attached to the story. So I gave it a 3, but I feel like honestly now I would have given it maybe a 2, but I did, when I think about it, enjoy it fine. So I'm giving it a 3. And that's what I got to say about that one. And then we have, prepare myself this time, we have The Gaze Upon the Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. This is obviously then the April 2024 pick, and this I read last year when I was doing 1,000 pages a day challenge. So I already read this before like starting this vlog. And this one, we have a girl trying to survive and making her family survive. We are in a world where like inspired by China, but they are being conquered by the Roman Empire that obviously doesn't exist anymore, but in this world. And then she's basically like, I was going to say selling herself or selling her services to the prince that is like obviously part of the rule of the people who has like colonized her people and her home, but she's doing this to survive, and like she knows it's not good, but she's doing it for her family to get a better place in this world. And then she's realizing that maybe this is wrong to ally yourself with your corruptors, oppressors. Is that a word I wanted? Yes. And I felt like this book was fine when I read it. I honestly like feel like I was not left with that much impressions now a year later that like I feel like I really grasped to. It goes in a place you think it's want to go. It doesn't really have any like, she does get feelings for this prince like dude, like kind of obvious, but then she also realizes this is wrong. It's very much like it goes in a certain direction where you think it's going to go all the time. I do think it's a pretty book. I do think that it was a fine book, but I'm not left with that many impressions. I feel like the plot was a bit boring, the characters were okay, the world was interesting, but I feel like it wasn't gonna say explained and grander enough for me to really truly love it. So I gave this a 3 as well, and I feel like I stand by that now, and I feel like that is all the thoughts I can give apparently. Okay. Next is Goddess of the River, which is May 2024. This was actually a replacement for another certain book that was cancelled, so we just got this instead. And I didn't like the design. I was gonna admit when I got it, I was like, oh, the colors. But now it's kind of grown on me. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, actually, I kind of like it. I kind of like it. And I just listened to this on audio. It's not that long ago since I read it. And this one is a retelling of like the Indian epic that I can't remember the name of. It is in this second. But it's the retelling of the story of Ganga, the goddess of the river, and her doomed mortal son. So it's like on the point of view of like this mortal goddess, and then she is literally a river, and then she is made into a mortal form, and then gets a son, and then like it's about her in history and this war that is coming. So in the story we have like different like timeless a bit, where it's like after the war, before the war, but mostly we follow one narrative, and then how like her as a river can affect this history and affect this world. And I thought it was done beautifully. I actually really enjoyed it. And then I read reviews where I saw some people actually haven't read like the original epics that I now have forgotten the name of. I'm really sorry, but it's like an 8,000 page epic that like is very known. And then it said that there was done a lot of creative differences, and that like they changed a lot, and like it was not true to the story. So like keep in mind of that as you're reading it. But as a book that I was just trying to read to get through all of this shit, and in comparison to a lot of the other things I've been reading, I enjoyed it. And I generally had kind of a good time with it. I enjoyed the way it was written. I thought it was very beautiful. I enjoyed our characters. I liked the woven in like history of it. But and again, now I'm very unsure if like it was done in a respectful manner. So obviously I am keeping that in mind. I'm mentioning it here for a reason. But I still cannot say that I did not enjoy it, like, because I was enjoying it when I was reading it, and I felt emotionally attached, and I felt a relief after going through so many books and not enjoying them that I was enjoying this one. I found it very beautiful to read, and I did kind of want to give it a 4. But because of the criticism of the representation, I am giving it a 3. Because again, while I enjoyed it a lot, when I think about it, I feel like it is worth a 3 as well, because like it wasn't incredibly amazing. It was just so much better than all the other things I've been reading that is why it felt like a 4. So 3 is fine. I honestly don't know why I have so many of these books, because I have of Jade and Dragons as well, but Bertram, which was the next one, which is obviously June 2024. And I have this, and I'm like, why do I have this? Why didn't I skip it? I feel like it's something to do with Asian fantasies. I'm very much like, I want to support them, I want to have them, because I do genuinely like them. But now there is a lot of them, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because there's a lot of Western fantasy as well, but they also blend a bit together, and now all of these blend together in a way as well. So this one, we have a main character whose father is an engineer, and then she is going out to find out why he was killed, and then she enters this like engineering competition to go into the guild. She's hiding as a boy. She gets some help from this like hot dude, and then there's like more secrets in this empire that she thought about. I was just gonna see what it says. The secrets within the guild can be as deadly as the weapon they build. Yo, that rhymed. It's basically the one from there. I found it fine. Also, the font is huge when I look at it, because I listened to the audio for this one as well. I found the characters totally okay, like the whole like murder mystery, the secrets. I found it like the engineering parts fun. I think it's called, this genre has a certain name. What is it called again? Silk something. Silk punk. That is what I wanted. Silk punk. So this is also silk punk. Again, I don't think it was bad or anything. I just felt the plot was predictable. The character was just like, the development was okay, the world was okay, but there was nothing in it that really was just like, oh, this is incredible, I love it, I am super tied into it. It is a very pretty edition, but again, a part of me is like, why do I own this? Why didn't I skip it? Just because I'm like, now I feel like I own a lot of books that feel very similar, and like I want to keep the ones that are incredible. Maybe that is the downside of reading so many in a row, because like they are just blend together. I enjoyed this more than the others. Like, I was enjoyable. I just like found parts of it a bit like, I guess, typical and a bit boring. So I'm giving this a 2 though, because it's not as bad as some of the others here. Oops. Okay. Next up is The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean, July 2024. This one I skipped. And I'm like, this one I wish I hadn't skipped. So Phoenix Keeper is a cozy fantasy. It seems to be a standalone. We follow this zookeeper who is taking care of one of the lost phoenixes. She's also trying to get responsible for this other phoenix so they can breed. And then there are some people in this world that are trying to like take basically like these creatures that are endangered and then like selling them for profit, obviously, etc. And she's just trying to keep these phoenixes safe. It's just about her and her zoo, and she's a very anxious person. There is a lot of social anxiety in her, and she's trying to like grow and like not get over it but get better at it, because she wants to get better at it for the animals. I found this very cute. There was parts of it that was like not annoying but a bit like predictable in the plot, because the plot wasn't always incredible. It's focused on the coziness and the creatures and a bit of a sapphic romance. I enjoyed it a lot. I just wish we get like more of the sapphic romance earlier, because I was just like, it took ages to come in there. And then I wish like the plot was a bit more and less predictable. Just because it's cozy doesn't mean you can have like, I'm not saying we need to go out and save the world, but a bit like where I guess the plot twist of the story on like the first time we met a certain character, I was just like, this is boring in that regard. But the way our main character cares so much about these creatures, the way we had fun taking care of them, and like going into all these details of taking care of them while it's fictional, taking care of these phoenix, I really enjoyed those parts. I felt warmth in my heart. I kind of wish I had it. I found it on eBay very cheap and I'm very tempted to get it. But apparently, according to Goodreads, I gave it 3 stars. And I'm like, did I give it 3 stars? I feel like at this point it should have been a 4 in comparison to these other books here. Can I change it up to a 4 now? Because I kind of really want to. I've been thinking about it. And I feel like my impression after the fact apparently has gone up than like when I was reading it. Maybe I felt that was going a bit slowly, maybe. And that is why I gave it a 3. Or it's like the plot things I've been talking about. It's just very interesting because didn't we have another book I took down because I given it too high of rating and I want to take this up? It's very hard with ratings, I think, especially when you like are gonna compare them all in like this big bubble of books and like you feel like they are like what's it called, like set up against each other. Then I feel like it's weird to give this one a 3. So I kind of want to say I'm giving it a 4. And I'm really gonna live with that. Don't sue me. I have written up 4 in here, so we are giving it a 4. And I did actually enjoy this one a lot. It's just very cozy, low key. I saw very mixed things that some people really did not like it, and some other people really liked it. And I feel like it knew what it was doing. It knew what it wanted to do. It didn't try to be like this cool, massive thing, and then gave absolutely no substance. I think like it managed to do what it wanted to do within its pages, and I enjoyed it. And I might end up buying a Illumicrate copy, don't judge me. I was gonna just talk about these, but then I saw that the next 2 I have nothing to say, so we might as well just like do them now and then I will take a break for my voice. Why did I not skip any of these? Honestly, why? Honestly, one of my most anticipated releases last year was Mistress of Lies by Kem and Wright. This is a very pretty edition. I'm liking it a lot. Did I like the book? Absolutely not. There was nothing to like, honestly. We have poly vampires. The vampires part was boring. The book was boring. I'm just gonna try to see if like I make more sense of the book. There was one of them who had like corruption power and he didn't want to be like his dad or whatever as his lord, and then they all have a thing and it had no substance and I did not enjoy myself, and that affected the book greatly. And I am very disappointed and sad because like it sounds amazing, it looks amazing, but I just couldn't. And because of that, we can just move on. I gave it a 1 star. We can move on. I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm sorry. We have A Dark and Dawning Tide by Alison Staff. I didn't skip this one either because I saw the original cover and it was absolutely stunning, and then I saw it was sapphic and I was just like, I want this book, and then I might as well get a pretty edition. And now I have regrets once again because what was this? What was this? I listened to the audio of this one, by the way. It is about these 2 like rivals in school. They are like, I don't even know like what is their occupation, folklorist, and they go out on like this thing to find this object. They go out on this expedition and it doesn't go well, and murder starts happening, and they go into like this swamp, and then they can't find a way out, and then our main character is very like broody and aloof and a bit hot, and the other one is like a cutie girly, and then they have a thing. I like the relationship a bit. The plot though, the story itself, the way they were rivals but weren't really rivals. I heard it all before, and it was just the world, the plot, it just gave me absolutely nothing. I wanted to like the relationship. I was really trying, guys, I swear, and I just couldn't get into it. I was just, yeah. The Drowning book, A Study in Drowning, also had rival academia people, and we also had like FAES stuff or like creature stuff, and then we have this one, and I'm like, what is going on right now? I wanted to like it. I like the characters slightly sometimes, but just like everything else in the book felt like noise, and it was annoying. So I gave it this a 2, not a 1, because I did sometimes like the relationship, but other than that, it's a shame. Why are you so pretty? It's a shame. Actually, I don't know if I like this cover more than like the original one, which I can't show you, but oh, look at it. Well, it was trying to do a murder mystery. It was trying to do let's find secret object and secret plots, and it didn't do anything. So I gave it a 2, as I said. I need to talk more about like the last books, which is, it's 6 left. Okay, goodbye. Let us talk about the last books here, and then I will do like another wrap-up clip later after I edited through this. I haven't started editing yet, and I'm very scared and I don't want to. I really wish someone else was going to go through all this footage. But last books. So the next one is Until We Shatter by Kate Dillon. I made my library buy this because it was like literally impossible to get. I realized later that I could have made a UK Amazon account earlier, and then I could have bought the Kindle edition there. But other than that, like, it was a bit expensive or something. I don't even remember what I was thinking. But I didn't pay for anything because I made my library buy it. Yay. And then I didn't like it at all. I'm sorry, library. Her mother is ill. She's trying to survive in this world. We have like this magic system. Was it based on like color, or like this system in a world where people... I was just trying to see if like how I could explain it. The different colors, you can do different things. I make her just like half one color, half another, or like something. And that like makes her weaker than all the people that are like full-blooded colors. And her mother is sick. There's a heist. I didn't care and I was bored, and I was just like, really? What am I reading? What am I feeling? Anything? Absolutely not. And I ended up giving it a 2 because there was some stuff in there that was like fine, but that is my verdict. Then I read The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. This I listened to audiobook now a little while ago, and I actually like this one more than a lot of these other books. This one is a sci-fi. We have a main character who is on maternity leave. She just had a baby on her own, and then she's joining this party with her co-workers, and they work within like, I don't even know how to describe it, but like within like layers of like this other world they can enter. She is like an expert in this, kind of like a fighter in this, where like they solve cases having to do with this like other layered world, a bit like a spirit world, but it's not really. And then suddenly in this party everyone dies, and then the clock turns, and then she needs to figure out like how to stop everyone from dying over and over. There's like different layers, and that's basically impossible. And then she's kind of like the best one to figure this out. And then also her like nemesis is also there, rival nemesis, a person that she has a past with is also there, and they need to work together. And then also obviously she wants to survive all this to get back to her baby. And then it's also like an interesting perspective, like having a child and people expecting you to go back to work, but then also just like these layers of time that like there's different things happening on each layer. And it was really fascinating, but like it is the last hour between worlds, because like I think it's like literally 12 hours, and then you need to survive like all of them before the clock comes back again. I don't know how to explain it really well, but I listened to the audio. It was fine. I found it interesting with like the world and how it was built, the main character, the relationship between the main character and this other character. It was just like how I also felt like I didn't love it either. I don't know how to describe it, because like it wasn't necessarily confusing. I felt like it was explained fine. I just felt like it wasn't I feel like not interesting is maybe the wrong word as well. But I was interested to see what was going to happen. I was just feeling like it became a bit repetitive. It was going through the motions of like these hours over and over and over and over. But I also felt like we were expanding our characters, etc. on the way. So did I find it fine? Definitely not the worst that I read here, and I ended up giving it a 3 because I liked it, but I didn't like love it. I feel like it was particularly better than a 3. The next I also listened to audio, which like happened also last month. I don't even know anymore. It is Hammer Jangle Luck by Bankana Yamamoto. I forgot to say the months again, but this is December 2024, so we basically caught up very soon. And this one, it follows this convict that came out of prison, and they are like trying to just get into back to their old life without being a criminal, but then they get like this offer for one last big heist from like someone who betrayed them last time. They were doing another heist, and then they just want to be there for the family, but like this could be the last big heist, you know? So we collected this little crew, which I really, really loved. I mean, you're also like in space. I forgot to mention that part. We're in space on this spaceship, and it was very interesting, like very big differences of like being in the lower class on the spaceships. They need to eat like not real food, etc. But like if you go a bit higher in the classes, you can eat like, oh my god, actually a real fruit. And our main character don't want to be in the lower trenches of the classes. They want to be like go up in the system. And we go out on like this heist, and like I know Until We Shatter was also a heist story, but that was boring. But this one was kind of fun. It was like the way I like a heist to play out, and then also with really good characters, really good like family bonds, and a very fascinating world as well. I liked how everything played out. It was a bit sexy. I was like, oh. And I also really actually liked the US. Is it the US cover for this? Which is the one I will be showing because I don't like the UK one at all. It's like, I enjoyed this a lot. I felt very emotionally attached to listening to it. I have a very like vivid memory of listening to it. And I feel like I saw people not liking it. But I actually personally really liked it, and I gave it a 4. So like now, wow, I'll be all mind blown right now. Just like I gave Phoenix Keeper a 4, I feel like people didn't like that either. But I liked this one. I liked the story, I liked the characters, I liked the writing. Really, when I think about it, compared to this one to like the other ones here, it's clearly a 4. So I don't regret my rating at all. Okay, I'm happy we found a few things I liked here. Surprisingly. Apparently, I only like things I listen to audio on. No, I'm joking. I did like the Sanctuary one. That one was wild. That was fun with the witches. We then have Watermoon, which is January 2025. I didn't skip because I thought it sounded so cute and it is so stunning. I don't have any regrets not skipping, to be honest. I read it. It was fine. It reminded me a bit of like, have you seen the movies like Your Name, Suzume, Weathering with You? It reminded me of that vibe of those movies, a bit like Studio Ghibli in there. Just gonna see like, how does it describe the synopsis? Would you rewrite your destiny if it meant losing a part of your past? Like, so they meet and then like they travel in time, and then we are in Japan, and then we try to find like a past, etc. I felt like it was fine. I didn't like feel like, oh my god, it's amazing. I feel like it was supposed to be more touching than I actually felt it was. Especially like the ending reminded me, it's literally the ending in one of the movies I just mentioned. I was just gonna say, basically. So I liked it fine. I didn't think it was particularly amazing. I felt it wasn't particularly like bad. I found it fascinating with like the travel stuff, and then like I found like it was trying to be very beautiful and be like, oh my god, life, and that is why I got the vibes for those movies. But I love those movies, and like I didn't particularly think this was as good as those movies, but it has like the vibes of those. But yeah, look at this stunning book though. Look, it's like a full picture. I'm dying. I gave this a 3, which honestly, in comparison to a lot of these, is good. And I would definitely like keep the book. I said the other time, I was like, what do I do with this pretty book now? This one I will keep because it's just so pretty. And I love the look of it so much. Oh my god, I thought we were done. But we have 2 more. I then read Capitana by Cassandra James. This one I skipped before knowing anything about the author, but the author is problematic. And then also, I skipped it just because I thought it sounded so boring. It is like a pirate story thing, and it's not like I have anything against pirates, but it just sounded so incredibly boring. Luckily for me, I got it off hold on the library like the second it came in, and I listened to the audiobook. And as we know, I've been enjoying audiobooks more than other reads apparently, but this was terrible. It was a terribly boring book, and it was just a terrible book in general. And I'm not just saying that because I listened to the whole thing. We have a main character who is like the daughter of a rebel, so like she's like in the Marine Corps. I don't know if it was actually called Marine Corps, but like the military. And then she's been growing up there. She's trying to be like, try to graduate like on top of her class, etc. And people like are underestimating her and being against her all the time because she was the daughter of traders that was trying to like go against this Marine Corps controlling everything on these islands in this world. And then she realizes maybe it's corrupt here, oh no. And then they do go out on this journey first, and then secrets are revealed about like her parents on her past, etc. It sounds as predictable as you might say it is. Like every single part of this book you could predict, and it wasn't like a main character. I don't know what was wrong with her, but I didn't like her, and I didn't feel like it gave me absolutely anything to care about or like to be like, this is different, this is cool, or anything. I was just like, every single scene just played out as you wanted. It also was trying to do like this thing where like she has this rival dude that was like the son of like one of like the high officers, and then he was just like a drunk and like bad boy, and then it was like, no, but he's not really, because he likes her. And I was like, wow, obviously. And I feel like I sound maybe a bit judgy, I'm so sorry, but I honestly was listening to it and I was just thinking that I didn't think that it would be terrible, but just like I felt like it was building up nothing, and that like it just wasn't written well. I mean it when I say it, and I was like actually shocked of how bad it was, because I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I honestly just wasn't interested in the story, and then it turned out to be worse than I thought it would be, and I was actually like kind of shocked that it was so bad. So that sounds very terrible, but yeah, I give it a 1 because honestly I did not enjoy myself, and I feel like I haven't given a 1 to an audiobook. Not that like that matters, but like I feel like there's something to do with audio lately for me. I was not enjoying myself. Really did not like this one, so we are moving on. We are going to the last book, which I didn't enjoy either. This is The Prince Without Sorrow by Maitri Vijayasekara. No, I'm butchering that. That is March 2025, which is obviously the last month. And then we have Haunting Spirits as a theme. This I did manage to get hold of like a few days ago, so it was like right as we were finishing up this video. If I used shorter time on this video, I don't think I would have been managed to fit it in here. And I honestly thought this might just be me judging covers bad, but I thought that this had like Russian vibes from like the US cover at least. It like really gives me Russian vibes, and not that there's anything wrong with that, and apparently I just don't know where names come from. So like, but it's just like weird because then it's like it's Indian myths, and I was like, oh, and I thought that was like just me being totally off everywhere. So that is I thought that was funny to me, not anyone else. I skipped this because I just honestly didn't think it sounded interesting, and it wasn't. It was trying to be like very lyrical. It's like witch hunting, etc. And it was trying to be lyrical and be cool, and I was not enjoying myself. But also, it was the last book for this vlog, so I'm sorry to say that like maybe that affected the fact that I want to be done now. But also, it just wasn't interesting. The writing was trying so hard to be poetic and cool, and you're saying nothing with your words. Can you just like write straight? That is better right now. Write straight. And it just gave me nothing because of that. And I gave it a 1 star. I'm sorry. We are ending the vlog on 2 1 stars. Whew! I feel like, what do I feel right now before having edited through this and seen like the final stats, which will be on your screens? I feel like I read less books for this, obviously, than the further vlog, and I still feel like the books were worse because they had so many jumps in genre, but they managed still to find like the worst picks you could find. They just have no substance, and I'm very sorry to say. And because of that, I feel like the average rating for this is probably lower than the favorite vlog, because at least there I knew it was going to a YA book in every single book. So there's that. I don't have more to say right now. I shall edit, and then I shall see you back to you. And I was gonna say 5 to 10 business days, because who knows how long that is gonna take me. Yeah, guys. I just finished editing everything you've seen before this. It has taken me ages to edit because it is so much footage that my computer hates me. Even though I have a relatively very good computer. I don't really have much more to add than what I said last and what I've been mentioning throughout the vlog, where I feel like there's been a lot of jump in genre, and that can be positives and negatives. What I'm surprised at is that the fact that you have all the genres to pick from, you managed to pick the worst ones. I'm sorry. No, okay. Not everything was bad, but I feel like overall lower about a lot of these books overall in the long haul than, as I said, comparing it to favorite YA, because there we have like within one genre. I don't remember the stats we ended up on that one, honestly, but the fact that this vlog is, by the way, as long as the favorite vlog, we have literally like, I think 15 or almost 20 books less in this one. I talk a lot, like I'm doing right now. I'm looking at the stats right now. 13 1 stars. I thought I had many more 1 stars. That's not that many. 25 2 stars, 29 3 stars, and then 12 4 stars and 8 5 stars. I feel all my 5 stars were books I had read previously that I generally love. So there's that. There were a few 4 stars. I feel like the ones that stands out to me that are like from the newer releases is Phoenix Keeper and Hammerjang Lock. Like, I really thoroughly enjoyed those. So yeah, I'm considering if I want to purchase them to have them on my shelves, but I will use some time thinking on that. Other than that, I remember Sanctuary, and then some of the 3 stars are like okay in my mind, like Last Hour Between Worlds. There was another one that I was thinking about that I enjoyed fine, but now I can't remember. Overall, all like the 1 and 2 stars, I will try to forget with the best of my ability, as if I haven't already. I hope you have enjoyed this vlog. I feel like I can be thorough, and then I just don't bother being thorough anymore. And then I had a good time. It was truly a challenge. I like doing this. I will probably do, I'm thinking, adult fairly less, much less books in that one though, because it has been as long as a subscription. I do believe I can check. It is only like right now like 39 books there, so it's like literally half of this. So it would be like a 3-month vlog, maybe just 1.5. But also I did do a whole thesis meanwhile doing this vlog, which is also probably could have affected a lot of the moods in this one. But yeah, leave a yellow heart down below if you enjoyed this. I thank you so much for watching if you watched through all of this, and you should see me soon in a new vlog. I have many more fun ideas coming up now that I've finished my thesis, and you should see me soon. Bye!